Return of showers and thunderstorms this week. The timeline for the most rain during the full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. Right now in Middle Tennessee, a deadly shooting investigation underway in Gallatin. This happened at the residences of Gallatin Apartment Complex, just southeast of the Long Hollow Pike and Highway 109 interchange. Channel 4's Jordan James says a teenager was killed during an exchange of gunfire as people were breaking into cars.
We spoke off camera with a woman who says her 20-year-old son shot the teenage suspect. She expressed condolences to the suspect's family and tells us that her son was only trying to protect his neighbor's property. Currently, he is in a process of being interviewed by police. It's unclear if he will face any charges or if anyone else has been detained for questioning.
Elsewhere in Middle Tennessee, investigators working to determine the cause of a home explosion in Smyrna. This happened on St. Michael's Lane around 4:35 yesterday afternoon. Neighbors say the homeowner was working on a hot water heater when it happened. Ronnie Cannon, one of the neighbors who says other neighbors ran over to help.
The way the courage that those guys had going in there, they had to go up the steps to get him. The house looked like it had been hit with a bomb.
Well, they helped get the wife out, too. The man is in the hospital with what neighbors said were severe burns. Here in Nashville, parents speaking out about traffic safety lights not working near their kids' school in Inglewood.
When they get out of school, they can easily just run onto the street. School zone signs, disco balls, anything. Just to alert that there's a school right here. That's very important.
That man telling Channel 4 the 15-mile-per-hour speed limit flashing light sign hasn't worked since classes resumed last week. He says the school doesn't have a crossing guard. Neighbors say they want more speed bumps and school zone signs, too. And since school started on Tuesday of last week, Channel 4 says Metro Police report they've made at least 205 traffic stops and written 89 citations. Among those are 36 for speeding, 14 for cell phones, 5 for carelessness. Market Numbers Report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management. Online at beaconcm.com. Here's Daria Albinger.
After a volatile week for stocks, investors may be hoping for a little more stability this week. Whether they get it is another matter. We'll have to wait and see. We get two major reports this week on inflation, starting with the Producer Price Index on Tuesday. It measures costs month to month and year over year at the wholesale level, and it'll be followed on Wednesday with the Consumer Price Index. Now, usually these indices move in tandem, but as we have learned lately, that is not always the case. The weekly jobless claims report will be released on Thursday. Last week shows initial claims for unemployment benefits fell 17,000 the previous week to a low of 223,000. That's not quite the 240,000 that analysts surveyed by FactSet were predicting, but it's still historically low. First-time claims are widely viewed as a proxy for layoffs. At the close on Friday, the markets were all in positive territory.
Well, right now, futures are mixed. Dow futures are flat. S&P up 4. NASDAQ up 34. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Information fueled.
Opinion driven. This is Nashville's Morning News with Dan Mandis.
And so, my fellow Americans,
we talk news.
5:06, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And welcome on into the Monday edition along with Johnny B, Ken Weaver, Dan Mandis here. Indeed, I realized something over the weekend, and I've always known this, and it was sort of like a reminder to myself. But as you know, I myself have been struggling because I don't understand the Democrats. And I don't understand how you can have clearly the American people believe that America is going in the wrong direction. Yet you have all of these polls, whether you believe the polls or not, let's put that aside for a moment. But you have all these polls that show that, you know, Harris has this great momentum, even though she's the vice president of Joe Biden, who these two last 3.5 years have absolutely train wrecked our economy and our country. So then why is it that the American people and the Democrats specifically, and perhaps independents, are not connecting Kamala Harris with the policies that have destroyed America? Well, this is very consistent for the Democrats. Look at a piece of crap city like Washington, D.C. Look at a piece of crap state like California. And I can say that because, number one, it is a fact, and number two, I am a recovered Californian. The very same party that have destroyed those cities, Baltimore, another one, the very same party that have destroyed those cities, every time there's an election, they still vote for the same party that, yes, destroyed those cities. So, for example, in Washington, D.C., Brian will tell you about this all day long and twice on Sunday, where they have D.C. at one time, I don't know if it still is, but it was the murder capital of America. And yet, what do we always see? We always see Washington, D.C., and they vote in Democrat mayors. Just look at all of these piece of crap cities across the country. Failed policies, high crime, failing schools, food deserts, pharmacy deserts, because of all of that crime. And what has been consistent all the way through that city's existence for the last 40 or 50 years? They're run by Democrats. So if you look at the polling, and you see that the American people, by and large, believe that our country is going in the wrong direction. Well, clearly it is. Well, then why exactly is everyone so excited about Kamala Harris, a Democrat, and part of the Biden administration that has completely obliterated our country? Because Democrats, they just don't care. They don't care about the truth. And the truth of the matter is that Kamala Harris has been right by Joe Biden's side since day one. She proudly says, as I have said many times, that she is the last one in the room when Joe Biden makes all of these important decisions, like, for example, the failed pullout of Afghanistan. And America knows that that was a complete and utter train wreck that led to the deaths of 13 members of our military. And she openly admits that she was the last one in the room, and she stands by that failed pullout of Afghanistan. But the Democrats don't care. The Democrats don't seem to care about failed policies, and they don't care about the fact that she is lying to them as a party and to the American people by and large. Because it's like the Democrats, what they are is they're all in on it. I mean, you know that, right? I know you know that because I've said this before. The Democrats are all in on it. The media is in on it. Harris is in on it. The machine is in on it. A lot of these folks on social media are in on it as well. Where they know that she's lying. They know that at one time she said that she was for illegal aliens getting government-paid health care, taxpayer-funded health care. She was for defunding the police. She is for an open border. She is for putting illegal aliens and migrants above American citizens. She's for all of those things. But suddenly, she's stone quiet. She has nothing to say. And the reason why she has nothing to say and the reason why she's not doing interviews is because she knows that she needs to come up with some sort of an answer as to why the hell she flip-flopped, assuming that this media will actually ask her a relevant question, as opposed to, boy, Donald Trump is like Hitler, isn't he? I'm telling you, that's what's going on. So whether you believe the polls or not, there's a New York Times polling that was out over the weekend that says that Kamala Harris is suddenly leading Donald Trump by 4 points in 3 battleground states. Pennsylvania, Michigan, I forget what the other one was. But here's the thing. If that doesn't make any sense to you, well, it doesn't make any sense to me either. And people are actually calling out this poll as an outlier. I don't know. What I do know is that it is clear. It is abundantly clear that the media is out there trying to attack Donald Trump at every turn, and the polling by the New York Times and all of this other polling that is out there, it's all part of the Kamala's got momentum narrative that everybody's trying to put out there. So that the independents will say, well, the American people seem to be going for Kamala Harris. Obviously, I'm going to have to do that too, because I am a sheeple, is what all these people will say. So I don't know, when you, because it's always astounded me, how so many people in this country will reward failure. Kamala Harris is part of the failure of the Biden administration. Yet so many people in America are willing to reward failure because Kamala Harris is a black female, among other things. And this notion of rewarding failure with the Democrat Party and pulling in some independents is astonishing to me when she's running against a guy, Donald Trump, who has had absolute proven success. And here's the other thing that is astounding to me. Did you see what happened over the weekend with Kamala Harris? She literally stole one of Donald Trump's signature policies that he has been talking about for months now. I've got details straight ahead. 5:14 on Super Talk, 99.7 WTN. By the way, the Super Text line is open, 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN. Looking forward to hearing what you have to say on the Super Text line. Time to check the roads on WTN. Thank you very much. Partly sunny today and a high of 86 and right now 62. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Amy Klobuchar. You know, I used to call her Crying Klobuchar because she always sounds like she's about to break out into tears. She was on one of the shows over the weekend, and they were asking Klobuchar the question because Kamala Harris won't appear on any of these shows right now. And so they asked Amy Klobuchar, why is it that the presidential candidate for your party refuses to do any kind of media?
She's been in this now 21 days. She has yet to do a single interview. Why is that? And is that going to change?
21 days, Jonathan.
3 weeks.
She started running for president. Before that, she did tons of interviews.
Okay, so she said before that she did tons of interviews. Klobuchar, here's the thing. She wasn't a presidential candidate at that time 3 weeks ago. The other part about that is she's so clueless, of course, and Jonathan Karl doing the interview also equally is clueless. He's like, okay. 3 weeks ago, she had completely different policies than she does now. And so for him to simply, and he did, he just allowed her to get away with this comment, not putting it into further context where it's like, okay, but she's now the nominee for the Democrats and her policies have changed. And even her campaign now admits that choosing Tim Walz as the running mate has been an epic disaster because one of the events that happened over the weekend is that they have now said that, Tim Walz, he misspoke when it comes to his stolen valor and his military service. Anyway, here's the rest of that audio bite from Amy Klobuchar.
She's been in this now 21 days. She has yet to do a single interview. Why is that? And is that going to change?
21 days, Jonathan.
3 weeks.
She started running for president. Before that, she did tons of interviews. She's done interviews with you. She's done interviews. I'm sure she's going to do interviews. Just last night in Nevada, she talked to the press.
Yeah, she was walking through, I don't know if you saw this, but she was walking through a corridor, and she gave 1 or 2 sentence answers to some of the questions that they asked. But there's no opportunity for follow-up. And as we all stated on Friday, there's absolutely no way that Kamala Harris could do what Donald Trump did last week. Now, again, the reason why she couldn't do what Donald Trump did last week is because she doesn't have any answers. She doesn't have any policy. She doesn't have the wherewithal, in my opinion, intellectually, to deal with tough questioning. She just doesn't. Without coming off as sounding not so intelligent or that she doesn't have a firm grasp on the issues. You see what she said the other night in Las Vegas?
And eliminate taxes on tips for service and hospitality workers.
As many in the media actually, believe it or not, pointed out, where have we heard that before? Where have you heard that before?
I'm also doing no tax on tips. No tax on tips. So waiters, waitresses, caddies, people that drive cars, people that get tips who have been harassed by this government, we're going to have no tax on tips. That's a big thing.
So it is a big thing. It's so big that Kamala Harris, now they're calling, like hashtag copycat Kamala is trending on social media. I mean, this is one of the first big policy issues that she comes up with as a candidate for president of the United States. And she literally copied Donald Trump. Have you no shame, Kamala Harris? I mean, Trump's been talking about this for how long? Simone Sanders, the media arm of the Harris campaign, of course, MSNBC, Simone Sanders said this over the weekend.
I know Donald Trump, saying that the vice president copied him, but this tipped wage piece is there's bipartisan movement here for this. Tipped wage workers are very important, obviously.
So you know that she and Joe Biden had this whole thing with the tens of thousands of IRS agents. Everybody remember that? And also that the Biden administration has been very clear on the fact that they want to let Donald Trump's tax cuts sunset so that they can raise taxes on everyone. And here's the other thing. Kamala Harris's first big policy idea is to steal Donald Trump's no taxes on tips when she backed Democrats' $80 billion want for more IRS audits, including on tip income. Remember that whole thing? Where they were like, okay, we're going to hire 80,000 more IRS agents. We are going to go after the American people. We're going to pay for a whole lot of IRS audits going after people who make income on tips. The Biden-Harris administration also, they say, launched a novel new IRS crackdown on tips, getting the IRS inside the door at bars and restaurants to directly monitor tips at the cash register, at the point of sale. This was from the Associated Press. She also backed the $1.7 trillion spending legislation, expecting taxpayers to report their $600 phone app transactions to the IRS without she and the Senate reading the bill. Later, they dropped that as untenable. But that's the point. The point is that up until Saturday night, she and Joe Biden were all about going after tip earners, people that make money off of tips. Now, suddenly she is all for no taxes on tips because she does understand that for Donald Trump, That is a very popular policy principle. But here's the thing. He has been very consistent. My question to her would be, okay, you have done exactly the opposite for the last 3.5 years. Now, all of a sudden, you see that it's doing well for Donald Trump, and now you're stealing it, is what copycat Kamala is doing. It is 5:22 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Ken Weaver, what's coming up in the news?
Well, we've had a deadly exchange of gunfire in Gallatin this morning. Fire investigators trying to determine what caused a home in Smyrna to go up in flames yesterday after an explosion. You're going to hear the home explosion in Maryland yesterday, and new evidence in the Uvalde school massacre. While that shooting is still under investigation, now we're hearing the 911 calls. Coming up at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
528, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Apparently, I'm not the only one that's confused. I think there's going to be a rash of confusion across America as we all try and figure out what in the heck is going on with Kamala Harris and this campaign and why the Democrats are supporting such absolute nonsense. And then her first big, policy decision that she announces is literally a copy of what Donald Trump is doing. And so I would like to just ask Kamala Harris, okay, so if you'd like to copy more of Donald Trump, can you do me a favor and copy the whole border thing and do exactly what Donald Trump did on the border? Now, clearly, she's not going to do that. What's going to happen?
Well, she'll say she will.
That's right, Ken. That's exactly where I was going. She's going to say that she's going to do it up until November.
Yeah.
And then once, Lord help us, if she wins the election, then come one, come all. That's what she's going to do.
Yep, changed my mind.
529. Well, it is a woman's prerogative, as all men know.
And Democrats, too.
They can always change your mind. Or just lie. There's always that, too. That's also part of the Democrat prerogative. 529 on Nashville's Morning News. Dan Mandis here. It is an election year. I bet you're wondering if you're invested for the future and for your retirement, regardless of what happens. Well, listen, Paul Winkler can help you. He's been on the radio here in Middle Tennessee for nearly 20 years. And Paul and his team, they're all former investment brokers, insurance agents. One was even a securities attorney who worked for a big financial company. Now, they know the investing world inside and out. They are ready to put that knowledge to work for you. Check out Paul and his entire team at paulwinkler.com. These folks at Paul Winkler, they are fee-based. In other words, no commissions, which means they're not trying to sell you something. They want to teach you how to relax about money. So call them 615-851-1950. 615-851-1950. You can always find them online, paulwinkler.com.
.5:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. And right now in Middle Tennessee, investigators are questioning one person after a teenager was shot and killed at the residences of Gallatin apartment complex in Gallatin. The teenager dying this morning. Witnesses say it happened as people were breaking into people's cars. That exchange of gunfire. Fire investigators working to determine what caused a home to explode in Smyrna yesterday. It was on St. Michael's Drive around 4:35 yesterday afternoon. A man and a woman were inside the home. That man is in the hospital. And there's a home explosion under investigation in Maryland, too. Here's Perry Russum from the scene.
The debris field spanning several blocks. 2 people killed, 1 injured.
My wife and I both thought that the city had been bombed.
County officials say the blast could be heard from 3 miles away. State investigators say gas was reportedly smelled in the area before the explosion.
Yeah, a 35-year-old Baltimore gas and electric worker and a resident who is believed to be the 73-year-old homeowner died. Middle East Pentagon announcement. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin ordering a guided missile submarine to the Middle East. He's also accelerating the deployment of the USS Abraham Lincoln, an aircraft carrier strike group. It's according to a statement by the Pentagon as Israel braces for a possible attack by Iran. And the 2022 Uvalde school massacre still under investigation, but now we're getting to hear the 911 calls that depict the chaos and delayed response. Here's Derek Dennis.
Chilling evidence released over the weekend from the shooting inside Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, where 19 students and 2 teachers were killed in 2022. Police took 77 minutes to take down the shooter. A man saying he's the gunman's uncle is heard on one 911 call, asking to be transferred to his nephew to get him to stop the shooting.
That is the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com. Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's time for the Gang of Three Amigos. Ken's here. Good morning, Ken.
Good morning, boys. Yes.
Hey, Ken.
Yeah?
I owe a public apology to Johnny B.
A public apology?
A public apology to Johnny B.
What'd you do, Brother Dan?
You know what? I would hate to work with me. Like, I really would.
Why is that, Brother Dan?
So this is what I did to Johnny. We've got like 2 minutes left in that commercial break.
Yeah.
You know, can I ask this? Where are the long commercial breaks when I need them, actually? So, because they're all over the radio station and certainly on this show, definitely. The one time I need an extra 60-second spot, it's not there. I asked Johnny for that commercial. Yeah, that like does the stomach thing.
Yeah.
You know what I've noticed? That since that damn commercial started, both John and I have been having stomach issues.
Yes, we have.
Like, I don't know. I don't know if it's like, because we have to hear this, because just so you folks know, you think it's bad on the radio. We hear it in our headphones.
Oh, yeah.
You guys need stomach like mine.
So I asked Johnny, I said, hey, Johnny, can you get me that commercial? And he said, oh, yeah, I can get that for you. And then he said, and then I wait about
10 seconds.
In fairness, it was about 15.
Yeah.
And I said, now?
Yeah. Have you sent it to me?
And so he's like, dude, it's a 30-second commercial. You asked me 15 seconds ago.
Hurry up, Johnny. I needed that 2 minutes ago.
So basically what I wanted to do was I wanted to isolate that nauseating stomach sound that is in that commercial and talk about how that's how both Johnny and I feel.
Really?
Today. Yeah. And ever since this commercial started, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the commercial that makes me sick.
It's subliminal.
Well, either that.
It's getting you.
Well, you know what I think, Ken and Johnny, is that commercial, it started about 3 weeks ago, and that's about the time that Kamala Harris started running for president. So maybe it's Harris running for president that is, making my stomach go. Anyway.
Yeah, you don't want to be stuck in a grocery line and your stomach starts doing that.
No, you don't want to do that. What do you do?
Do you ask the person behind you, hey, will you watch my cart?
And then I
forgot something.
And then you just walk away and you just start spraying like a skunk.
Well, I was going to say that.
What do they call that? Sharecropping. Is that what they call it? Sharecropping? No, that's what they call it, right?
What do they call sharecropping? What are you saying?
When you
start.
So when you have stomach. Okay, I'm not the weird one here. This is a relatable topic. So when you're having stomach issues and stuff happens and you start to.
So you don't make it on time.
Yeah, that.
That's
when your stomach is feeling when your stomach is feeling like that and you have to, you have to toot and you're trying to get away from people and it just comes out. It's called sharecropping. I think that's what it's called. Isn't that what it's called?
I've never heard it.
Sharecropping. Yes. Oh, I thought that's what it was called. Super textures, help me for the love of all that is holy. What is it called?
Hey, Dan, let's go.
Crop dusting. It's crop dusting.
Hey, Dan, let's go to Toots in Murfreesboro. What do you think?
It's crop dusting.
we'll meet hand there.
What is sharecropping? I can't make it's crop dusting.
That's when you do it together, Dan. when everybody gets together and they go,
no. Dude, I have it. Oh God, now people are texting me. Hey, I've got about 200 people that are all texting me saying it's crop dusting, man. It's not sharecropping. Whatever, it's the same thing.
Well, this is the sound effect from the Biden appearance.
That's exactly right.
Chill. Oh no.
Oh my gosh, brother Dan, you have made my Monday morning, dude.
Do I dare check my phone to see? There's another one. People are texting my phone. Do I see? Hold on. Let me see.
I was going sharecropping. What?
Let me see how many of my own personal friends. 4 people have texted me and said, no, it's not sharecropping. It's crop dusting. I'm sorry.
It's all right. That's why we love you, brother.
Oh, standing in the line at Publix. Well, there goes Brother Mandis sharecropping.
At least he's not share dropping.
Put back the gum.
Can I just say that if this facility, here goes another one. If this facility actually had some medicine that dealt with that, then we wouldn't even be having this conversation because we were talking about this earlier, where it's just what do you do when you're stuck at work and you arrive and it's your stomach starts to feel like that commercial,
right?
Where oh no,
oh well.
So I blame the.
That's whenever you better fire up the tractor and pull into the restroom.
You know what the funny thing is? I had a really good opening monologue, and I had some really good audio and the whole thing. This is what people will remember from the 5 o'clock hour on August 12th. Sharecropping versus crop dusting. This is what people will remember.
Yes, it is.
Oh, man. Dude, that just added a couple of years to my life. I'll probably live until 63 now.
Well, good, Ken.
That is good, Ken.
Whatever I can do to help. You can.
That's great, dude.
You can live off my 5 now. I've got 5 text messages from people.
Oh, man.
I didn't write. You know what's so funny? Like, I always feel like, as I said, I've said this so many times, nobody listens in the 5 o'clock hour.
No, of course
Man,
not. No, nobody listens.
People listen in the 5.
Yes, they do.
Because you know what? When I screw up with the 5, I'm still hearing about it in the 8.
You're still hearing about it during the Murphy show.
Oh, yeah. People got to call it Murphy. Hey, did you hear what Mandis said in the 5 o'clock hour about crop dusting and shear cropping? Whatever. Johnny, what do you have for this? Because clearly I'm going to shake everything today.
Man.
Well, I don't know how pertinent this is to us, but I just wanted to warn folks, if you're traveling this year,
warn folks about sharecropping.
If you're not like me and you can afford to go somewhere, be prepared, because right now tarantulas are expected to emerge, and you know why? They're getting ready to mate.
Horny tarantulas.
Horny tarantulas are out there. Hey, let's go to the phones. What do you think?
Tarantulas.
Yeah, they're going to they're mating
I remember
season.
that.
Their mating season goes from.
For once, that wasn't me. Moving right along.
There's no working with these two. There's no working with me. But anyway, they say they're set to emerge in August through October. That's how long they they really get at it.
August through October.
Yeah, that's that's when they really get to town. Woo. If you happen to come across them, and there's only about 3 states you're going to see these guys. It's Colorado, Kansas. Gosh, I don't remember seeing any in Kansas when I lived there. And New Mexico. That's where you'll find them. And
we had them.
They say if you see them, to just leave them alone. They said...
Well, like most people, if they're trying to get it on, they want to be left alone.
Well, right.
I mean, that's what we have something in common with.
I can attest, you want to leave them alone.
Oh, yes.
After heavy rains in Oklahoma, they'd come out.
Oh, they're in Oklahoma, too?
Oh, yes. Big old tarantulas with yellow backs. I worked at this radio station, was out in the country, and they were all over the place one time out in the gravel parking lot. I went out there with a broom, and I was poking at one. It jumped. It jumped over me and landed on top of my car hood.
Wow.
And I ran inside, locked the radio station doors, and paid attention to my job for the first time since I've been hired there.
Well, they say that even though the bite is venomous, they say getting bitten by them is very rare, and usually doesn't require medical attention.
Yeah, their poison apparently won't kill you.
No.
But, boy, you don't want them on you.
No.
Big old
man,
they're
huge.
Tarantulas.
They're huge.
So I'm sitting here and I'm reading about how tarantulas mate.
How do they mate, Dan? Or is it too descriptive?
You want me to read it?
Well, as long as it
as bad as sharecropping.
As long as it doesn't get us in the
male. We're talking about tarantulas.
Tarantulas.
Yeah.
Okay.
The male protects himself from the female's fangs, right?
Yes.
Well,
the male.
Yeah. I mean,
we all need to learn from tarantulas, guys.
Yeah, we really do.
Yeah.
Totally. We're kidding. Wives, we're kidding.
Joke.
Yeah. Yeah. Male spiders truly do only live once.
The male protects himself using special spurs or hook-like structures to hold the female's fangs back and inserts the little tarantula sperm into the female. That's what they do.
How romantic.
It doesn't really sound really romantic.
No, it really doesn't. There's no wine or...
No cheese,
dinner.
no wine.
I mean, you got to keep
cuddling.
Keep the female from killing you.
Yeah. My gosh.
That usually comes after the...
Yeah. Then again, can you blame her?
That's a few...
You've seen how many baby spiders have?
Oh, man.
Like usually after a few years, the females want to kill the males. At least in my
they do it right there on the spot, dude.
What?
They kill them right there on the spot.
Who does?
The female spider. She kills the male.
Black
tarantulas or black widows?
I think a lot of spider breeds do.
I've always heard the black widow.
Now the black widow does, yes, definitely.
She kills him right after.
Yeah, does the female tarantula?
Yeah, the black widow male, he's just a little fella.
Yeah.
Does the female tarantula eat the male? Yes, female tarantulas sometimes eat male tarantulas in a practice called sexual cannibalism.
Yeah, it's spider culture. That's what they do. Like I said, a male spider, he really only lives one time.
And that's to procreate.
And he can't help himself.
No.
He's just like us.
He's got the need, baby.
So if you're a male tarantula...
Yeah, you got one shot.
Yeah, that's it.
And then you're dead.
That's the...
So he holds the fangs back just long enough to put the eggs in there or whatever they did.
Well, the eggs are already there.
The tarantula...
Let's call it sharecropping.
And so if I were like a male tarantula, I would like identify as a female. Like I'd be like a trans tarantula. So I'm like, I don't want to be eaten by the female or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but what a way to go.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
Boy, you know what? So yeah, you're right, Ken and Johnny. They get one shot. They can have tarantula nookie like one time, and then they get killed and eaten by the female.
I tell you what, there's a scarier spider in Tennessee than the tarantula, and it's the huntsman spider. You ever seen one of those?
Never heard of them.
They're big enough they kill fish.
Good Lord.
Huntsman spiders?
Yes. They're huge.
My goodness.
Yeah, we got after one. We were staying in a cabin out in the Smokies over in Townsend one summer. And almost a huntsman spider almost got in the cabin before I could kill it.
It almost looks like the size of like a small hand.
Yes, it's the size of like a catcher's mitt.
Oh, yeah, I've seen these guys.
They kill fish.
Wow.
Are they poisonous to like people?
I don't know if they're poisonous to people, but they're creepy. I'm telling you, had that thing got in the cabin and hidden somewhere, we would have had to get a hotel room. We would not have stayed in that cabin. This thing was so big, when it ran, you could hear it.
Yeah.
Clickety-clacking off of the wooden porch.
All right.
Yeah, and they do cause, their bites can be pretty bad.
Yeah, they're big. Big old Tennessee spider.
Yeah, their bites can cause nausea, headache, vomiting, irregular pulse rate.
Yeah.
Wow.
I just think what they do to the fish.
Wow.
Let's see here. 8949. Morning, Dan. Dan wins the award for One Man Dumb and Dumber.
Wow.
That's not very nice.
No.
Listen, I'm barely awake. And I'm having stomach issues because of the commercial or Kamala Harris, one or the other. I'm not sure which one it is.
Probably both.
Anyway.
Yeah. But the most poisonous spiders in Tennessee are the black widow and brown recluse. Fiddlebacks.
Yeah, the brown recluse you'd want no part of.
No, sir. They rot your skin out. They'll bite you, and if you don't take care of it, you'll have a big old rotten hole in it.
Yeah, we've had some brown recluses in our house. When we first moved in, they had some brown recluses, and we had the pest control company out, and
the high
they took care of them, man. No, it wasn't the high five guy.
Oh,
it wasn't the high five guy.
Every time I hear the commercial that's on our station where the guy's going, high five, high five. I always think about your high five bug guy.
Listen, folks, whatever you do, don't alert the Marconi people as far as this particular segment. I'll never win. I'm up for that award, and it's like, this guy, no way. You know, they maybe can overlook the fact that I'm a fire-breathing conservative. However, they'll not be able to get over the fact that I confused crop dusting
with sharecropping.
Sharecropping when we're talking about
in the Publix grocery line.
Latest, yes. Moving right along.
Sharecropping.
All right. Oh wait,
that was great.
I know how to stop all of this stupidity right now. Let's do that. Ken.
Yes, Brother Dan.
What's coming up in the news at 6?
Well, unfortunately, we're going to have to get serious because we've had a fatal shootout in Gallatin. And house explosion in Smyrna, that's still under investigation. And forget that it's only August. Pumpkin spice is in the air. We'll tell you about it at 6 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
What's that?
.557, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. J.D. Vance was all over the place over the weekend, including one interview with Dana Bash. And I'm just going to tell you, it did not go well for Dana Bash.
Okay, you've now asked me 3 questions about comments that I made 3 years ago. I wonder what Kamala Harris thinks about the fact that she supported policies that opened the American southern border. I wonder what Kamala Harris thinks about the fact that she lied to the American people
you, not
about Joe Biden's mental facility for the office.
Yeah, Dana Bash totally called out by, of course, not only J.D. Vance, but Republicans across the country. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more straight ahead. It is Nashville's Morning News for a Monday. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Six o'clock on the dot this Monday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Looks like we got a crash there at the Eastern Split. The on-ramp, left and right shoulders are blocked. That's 40 westbound to go westbound on 24. Got a return of showers and thunderstorms. The timeline for the most rain during the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Deadly shooting investigation right now in Gallatin. A teenager dead after an exchange of gunfire at the residences of Gallatin apartment complex just southeast of the Long Hollow Pike and Highway 109 interchange. That's where Channel 4's Jordan James says cars were being burglarized before the shooting started.
We spoke off camera with a woman who says her 20-year-old son shot the teenage suspect. She expressed condolences to the suspect's family and tells us that her son was only trying to protect his neighbor's property. Currently, he is in a process of being interviewed by police. It's unclear if he will face any charges or if anyone else has been detained for questioning.
Elsewhere in Middle Tennessee, the cause of a home explosion underway in Smyrna. Ronnie Cannon is a neighbor there on St. Michael's Lane who tells Channel 4 everyone ran over to help.
And with the courage that those guys had going in there, they had to go up the steps to get him. The house looked like it had been hit with a bomb.
Now, the man of the home is in the hospital with what neighbors say were severe burns. The wife was able to get out, too, and unknown about her condition. Here in Nashville, parents are speaking out on the lack of safety, they say, is around their kids' school. They say the traffic safety lights are not working at Inglewood Elementary School, and they haven't since classes resumed last week.
When they get out of school, they can easily just run onto the street. School zone signs, disco balls, anything. Just to alert that there's a school right here. That's very important.
Now, the school also does not have a crossing guard. Neighbors say they want more speed bumps and school zone signs, too. And since school started on Tuesday of last week, Metro Police say they have made at least 205 traffic stops and written 89 citations. Among those are 36 for speeding, 14 for cell phones, 5 for carelessness. Market Numbers Report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management. Online at beaconcm.com. Here's Jim Ryan.
With the Fed's next meeting on interest rates now about a month away, several key reports that could influence the decision are due out this week. We'll see inflation numbers for July, retail sales figures, and new stats on home construction. Stock futures were little changed overnight as traders await those economic reports. On Friday, the Dow Jones picked up 51 points and closed at 39,497. The S&P and NASDAQ composite each added about 0.5%. People who live in Hawaii say it's a little piece of heaven, but it comes with a hefty price. In its latest cost of bills index, bill pay service Doxo says residents spend $3,000 a month on housing and utilities in Hawaii. The least expensive state is West Virginia at about half that much. Forget that it's not even the middle of August. Pumpkin spice is in the air. The flavoring is already showing up in coffee and donuts at Krispy Kreme and Dunkin', and a handful of 7-Elevens are now offering a pumpkin spice Slurpee.
Yeah, a whole bunch of cookies, too. Dow futures up 50, S&P up 11, NASDAQ up 48. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Information fueled, opinion driven. This is Nashville's Morning News with Dan Mandis.
And so, my fellow Americans,
we talk news.
6:07, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends. Welcome on into a Monday, August 12th. Hope you're doing well, along with Ken Weaver and Johnny B. Dan Mandis here from the Super Text line. Catherine says Trump wants us to leave NATO, which, as a supporter, Catherine says, I know that is not something that I want to do. Can you talk about Donald Trump wanting to leave NATO. Catherine, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but here's the deal. Donald Trump is 100% in with staying in NATO. He doesn't want to leave NATO. What he wants to do is ensure that all of the other nations pay their fair share, because each nation, each member nation within NATO is supposed to pay 2%, I believe it is, of their GDP, and a lot of the nations don't. And so, like, for example, in Donald Trump's first term, you had a bunch of nations that were not paying their fair share. I sound like a Democrat, for the love of all that is holy, but that's what was going on. The nations in NATO were not paying the 2% GDP, and Trump said, listen, if I'm going to go in there and if we're going to stay in NATO, everybody's got to pay their fair share. And so when Donald Trump left, if I'm not mistaken, you had a lot of these other nations that were now then paying more than they were before. And so Donald Trump, as recently as a couple of months ago, said he wants to stay in NATO. We're in NATO and we want to stay in NATO. The thing is, he just wants everybody to, again, pay that 2% of GDP. So I don't believe that we're going to be pulling out of NATO. If you hear Democrats saying, well, Donald Trump wants to pull us out of NATO, he actually doesn't. See, that's the thing about what's going on in America today, is you have all of these things that the Democrats are trying to say that are policy positions of Donald Trump, which they're not actually policy positions. They keep talking about this Project 2025 from the Heritage Foundation. And Trump, in fact, this happened over the weekend. Trump has said ad nauseum that, no, that is not part of my official policy. So that's part of the conversation that is going on. It is interesting, too, by the way, if you're just joining us. We had a conversation in the previous hour, about an hour ago, actually, where Kamala Harris came out. Congratulations, Kamala. Where she has finally come out with one of her biggest policy initiatives to date since she came out and said that she was going to accept the nomination for running for presidency for the Democrats, their candidate to run for presidency. This is what she says.
And eliminate taxes on tips for service and hospitality workers.
So it is kind of funny because most of the things that Kamala Harris says about Donald Trump are actually not true. The ones that are true, she actually just steals. Because Donald Trump has been saying for, I don't know how long it's been. It feels like it's been at least 5-6 weeks when he has been out there saying,
I'm also doing no tax on tips. No tax on tips. So waiters, waitresses, caddies, people that drive cars, people that get tips who have been harassed by this government, we're going to have no tax on tips. That's a big thing.
All right, so the first real policy initiative that we get from Kamala Harris, which, by the way, hashtag copycat Kamala is now trending, was basically ripping off what Donald Trump has been saying for 5-6 weeks. So what they're not, lying about regarding Donald Trump's policy, they steal as their own. So, that's part of the news cycle today. And part of the discussion has to be, okay, so you're saying all of these on the stage with throngs of people that are, cheering every word that you say. And the question is, okay, so you want to have no tax on tips, that's fine. But aren't you basically ripping off what Donald Trump has been saying for a long time? And isn't that inconsistent because you were vice president when Joe Biden wanted those 80,000 IRS agents and you wanted to go after people that were making money on tips? That was part of their policy platform over the past 3.5 years. They wanted people that made money on tips to pay taxes on those tips, literally at the point of sale. So that is part of the discussion today. Now, we don't really know a lot about what it is that Kamala Harris wants to do if she were elected, Lord help us, President of the United States. But who we are hearing from is J.D. Vance. Because J.D. Vance, he was on not one, not two, but 3 of these talking head shows over the weekend. He's out there. He's talking about what is going on with our economy. He's talking about the damage that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have done to the American people and to our country. Now, he tried to talk about policy right at the start of the interview with Dana Bash.
Well, I think it's pretty straightforward, actually. We're running against a set of policies that I think have failed the American people, and we're running to a set of policies, President Trump's 4 years in office, that I think really succeeded for the American people. And I think that what's different about it, and you're right, Dana, it is different, but what's different about it is that we're running against a different person who a lot of Americans just don't know. And so I think we have to remind people that President Trump delivered lower prices, lower inflation, a prosperous and peaceful world, and also a secure border, and Kamala Harris's policies have produced the exact opposite.
Well, that's exactly right. This was, by the way, a 22-minute interview. And the questions, by and large, were not about policy. They were about the comments that Trump has made about Kamala Harris being black, the comments about Tim Walz and stolen valor. The crazy thing is, he's answered all of these questions before, quite frankly, ad nauseum. And so now you have him in front of Dana Bash, and she asks the same questions that everyone else has asked. It's almost like they don't want to talk about policy because they know that when it comes to policy, Trump has the upper hand. And so that's the point that I keep making, is here you have the polling that shows that the American people are against the very policies that Kamala Harris has been a part of. So if you believe the polling, then it just doesn't make any sense, which is you're against the policies, you're against Joe Biden, you feel like, 70% of the American people feel like America is going in the wrong direction, then why are they seemingly, it would appear, again, if you believe the polling, that people are disconnected or not connecting Kamala to those policies? Doesn't make any sense. Kamala Harris has been side by side with Joe Biden for years.
I think Kamala Harris clearly owns the policies of the Biden-Harris administration, especially when we consider the fact that, as we've all learned over the last few months, Joe Biden clearly isn't capable of doing the job. And so I think that drives home that Kamala Harris really has been the one calling the shots. I mean, how could she not? I think Joe Biden doesn't really know where he is.
Kamala Harris has been calling the shots, says who?
Says anybody with half a brain, Dana Bash. I believe it's Kamala Harris. I believe that it was this cabal of Democrats. I think obviously Barack and Michelle Obama have something to do with it as well. Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, the Democrats. But if you, I would say to Dana Bash, because I thought that was funny. Kamala Harris has been running things, says who? Again, says anybody who has been watching this situation. 6:15, by the way, going to talk a little bit about a New York Times poll that came out over the weekend that is not good for Donald Trump. I'm going to tell you why you should not pay attention to it. 6:15 on WTN, time to check the roads. Thank you, Jack. Partly sunny today and a high of 86. Right now, 65 at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. There was, breathless reporting over the weekend about this New York Times poll that shows that Kamala Harris is ahead of Donald Trump by 4 points in the states of Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. Those are all battleground states. Now, there's some people that are saying this is an outlier, that Kamala Harris does not have that much of a lead over Donald Trump. Most of the polling shows that they're within the margin of error, whether it is Donald Trump winning or whether it's Kamala Harris winning. So, this was one of those polls that people are scratching their head and thinking, well, unless this has taken a monumental turn, and I just don't buy it. I don't buy it. I'm having a hard time, and we talked about this last week, I'm having a hard time buying a lot of this polling because it's obvious that there is an effort by the media, by the New York Times, by most of the social media outlets, sans X, but most of them, they're all taking part in this whole nominate Kamala, vote for Kamala over Donald Trump agenda. That they're trying to say that there is this massive buildup of support over Kamala Harris, and for Kamala Harris. And I think for me, this is part of, voter suppression, really, because I think that there's a lot of Donald Trump supporters who are getting really worried and dejected. And I'm telling you, you should be worried. I don't think you should be dejected. I think you need to be worried and you need to be inspired to fight. You need to go out and vote. That is exactly what you need to do. Don't let the media win. Don't let the Democrats win. They win if you stay home. And so I think that's part of what's going on, is whether, again, it's Hollywood, the media, the polling companies, whatever. There's a lot of, to me, put it all together, it feels like a bit of voter suppression. But here's the other thing, is that we as Republicans and conservatives, we can't praise the polling when Donald Trump is way ahead like he was with Joe Biden, and then criticize it when he is losing. And for me, that's the bottom line. I mean, listen, I tell you the polls. I don't tell you to believe them or don't believe them. But when they all point to the same shift, well, then you just have to take in the information. You believe it, don't believe it, whatever. Again, it's a little hard for me to believe. Back to J.D. Vance. What about the conversation regarding the president, Joe Biden, and how he was sharp and clear and clear-eyed when he obviously was not? That was a question that was asked not by Dana Bash, but actually by J.D. Vance, because it's all about this discussion whether or not J.D. Vance and Donald Trump is weird.
Well, certainly they've levied that charge against me more than anybody else, but I think that it drives home how they're trying to distract from their own policy failures. I mean, look, this is fundamentally schoolyard bully stuff. They can accuse me of whatever they want to accuse me of. As Harry S. Truman once said, if you can't take the heat, stay out of the kitchen. And I'm doing this because I think that me being vice president will help improve people's lives.
Right. I mean, that's exactly it. So you've got the Democrats, and they just keep doing this, where they talk about how J.D. Vance and Donald Trump, they're weird. And I think that he's spot on when, first of all, if you want to go through, I feel like it's been done to death now, and I did it last week, but when you talked about, the weirdness of some of the Democrats' policies, and there's a lot of weird stuff in there, well, then, they have a lot of nerve calling J.D. Vance weird. And, he's out there and he's taken these very hostile questions from Dana Bash and others.
Because they aren't comfortable with their policy positions for the American people. And so they're name calling instead of actually telling the American people how they're going to make their lives better. I think that's weird, Dana, but look, they can call me whatever they want to. I think this election should be about who's going to solve the inflation crisis, who's going to make groceries and housing more affordable, who's going to secure that southern border. Kamala Harris's record is that she supported all the policies that made that problem worse, Dana. We're trying to say we're going to take the country in a different direction.
I mean, obviously, the man speaks the truth. One of the other questions he was asked, of course, was about Tim Walz and the discussion regarding stolen valor, the lie about going to war, the obfuscation of the fact that he did not carry a gun into a war zone. We can quibble all we want about whether or not he should have retired when he did, leaving his unit behind to avoid actual combat, I would say. But the fact that he lied about all of this is just wrong. And it has angered many veterans.
Well, of course, Dana, I honor his service, and I've never criticized what Tim Walz did when he was in the military. I criticized his retirement decision, and most importantly, Dana, I criticized his lying about his own record, okay? This is a guy who was captured on video saying, I carried a gun in war. He never went to war. This is a guy who's been captured on video. As other people say, he's an Afghanistan veteran. He's a veteran of a war, nodding along in agreement instead of saying, no, I did serve my country and I did it honorably, but I never went to a war zone. I'm not criticizing Tim Walz's service. I'm criticizing the fact that he lied about his service for political gain.
And the funny thing is, people are trying to defend Tim Walz, but here's the thing. Harris campaign came out and admitted that the governor misspoke. They changed his bio on the website. I believe he's changed his bio on Twitter, X. So they're now admitting, and this is a victory. I'm sorry, but this is a victory for the Republicans and for Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, because they've changed all of the bios and they've admitted that he misspoke. But here's the deal. He didn't misspeak once. He's been misspeaking for years. And so I think that J.D. Vance, he came absolutely loaded with truth heading into this weekend's interviews. And the J.D. Vance and Dana Bash interview was just one of several interviews that he did, which is more than we can say regarding Kamala Harris and Tim Walz as well. 6:23 on Nashville's Morning News. I've got a few more audio bites that I'm going to play for you coming up. Also, Matthew Hurt is coming up after the news at 6:35. Going to talk about the polling, going to talk about all of the various interviews that J.D. Vance has done. We'll probably dip into some of the things that Donald Trump said last week as well. So there's a lot to talk about. Matthew Hurt is coming up after the news at 6:35 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Dan Mandis here, and I can tell you that as a guy who gets up early, way early, that first cup of coffee is critical to waking up and feeling great. And I've tried all kinds of coffee over the years, and now I've discovered Space Cowboy Coffee. That's right, Space Cowboy Coffee. This is incredible, rich-tasting coffee with signature blends from around the world. Now, listen, if you're a coffee snob like me, you know that about me. I am indeed a coffee snob. Give Space Cowboy Coffee a try. Their blends and single-origin coffees are as unique as their name. And if this is the first time that you've heard of Space Cowboy Coffee, it's not going to be the last. It's a new company based in Nashville. Now, I've been trying all their different brews, and yes, again, they are amazing. Check them out at spacecowboycoffee.com. Use promo code Dan and get 15% off your first purchase. You spend $50 or more, and you get free shipping. Now, remember, that's promo code Dan to save some money and get some of the best coffee that Nashville has to offer. You can try them in pods, whole beans, or ground. Space Cowboy Coffee is my new favorite wake-up call. Should be yours as well. Find them online, spacecowboycoffee.com. That's spacecowboycoffee.com. 6:25 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Ken Weaver, what's coming up in the news?
A Middle Tennessee teenager is dead in an exchange of gunfire as people are breaking into cars. Neighbors rush to the rescue after an explosion in Smyrna. More American military assets headed to the Middle East and new evidence in the 2022 Uvalde school massacre coming up at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
629. 629. Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Dan Mandis here. Listen, you never know when the next power outage is going to happen. But what you can do is make sure that you're prepared for it with a backup home standby generator from my friends at Cove Generators. Now, right now, listeners to my show, you're going to get $500 off when you mention my name, Dan Mandis, when you call Cove Generators. Now, they are your premier Generac home standby generator dealer in the state of Tennessee. Now, a lot of people don't know a lot about these backup home standby generators. If you have questions, my buddy Generator Dave, he's going to answer whatever question you may have. Now, Dave and his entire team at Cove Generators, they're going to answer your questions before and after you buy that backup generator from Cove Generators. Now, remember that great deal, $500 off when you mention my name. That is a deal you're not going to find anywhere else but at Cove Generators. They offer you financing options as well so that you can be ready for the next power outage. Remember that great deal, $500 off when you mention my name. Find them online, covegenerators.com. That's covegenerators.com. Call them, mention my name, 931-559-3311. 931-559-3311. covegenerators.com. Terms and conditions may apply.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, and we've got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now in Middle Tennessee, one person's being questioned after a teenager was shot during an exchange of gunfire. This happening at the residences of Gallatin apartment complex there near Long Hollow Pike and Highway 109. That teenager died. Witnesses say this happened as thieves were breaking into people's cars. Home explosion in Smyrna investigation. Firefighters working to determine what caused it there on St. Michael's Drive around 4:35 yesterday afternoon. Neighbors rushing to assist a man who is in the hospital. That man's wife was in the home, too. She was able to escape. There is a home explosion under investigation in Maryland. The blast heard several miles away. Debris spanning several blocks.
You know, I kind of thought it was an earthquake. We're all outside, and obviously, you know, the flames walked down, and the house was just demolished.
Yeah, gas was smelled before the explosion. A 35-year-old Baltimore gas and electric worker and a resident who is believed to be the 73-year-old homeowner was killed. Middle East Pentagon announcement. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin ordering a guided missile submarine to the Middle East, also accelerating the deployment of the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier strike group. This, according to a statement by the Pentagon, as Israel braces for a possible attack by Iran. The 2022 Uvalde school massacre still under investigation, but now we're getting to hear 911 calls that depict the chaos and a delayed response.
Body-worn video depicts a police response that's already been roundly criticized as a failure, but buried in the 911 calls from that day.
He's my nephew, man. He's the shooter.
Is one from Armando Ramos.
Can I please go? Talk him down, please, man.
Okay, Armando, I'm going to have an officer go get you, okay?
Please.
Tragically, the call came after 19 students, 2 teachers, and 18-year-old gunman Salvador Ramos were already dead.
That's Jim Ryan reporting. And the latest news, traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Thank you, Ken. 6:33, Nashville's Morning News on WTN. Great news for homeowners. Mortgage rates are going down. My friends at Loan Pronto, they have rates that start with a 4. Now, this is the best rate that has been out there in years. Now, listen, if your current rate is over 6%, you can dump it right now and lower your house payment big time. Loan Pronto has locked in folks recently at 4.99% APR. So whether you got your loan last week, last month, or last year, it is time to call my friends at Loan Pronto. Even if you're in the process with another lender, stop right now and call Loan Pronto and ask about their zero-cost rate reduction home loan. You can lock in a lower rate with no closing costs in a matter of days with almost no paperwork and usually no appraisal. If you act right now, you can even skip your next 2 house payments. So call them right now. Loan Pronto, they can give you a rate quote in minutes with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees like those other guys. Call them 615-499-5780. LoanPronto.com, 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781 on approved credit. Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionality, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com. .636, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm texting 6443 back because 6443 is accusing me of being a Kamala supporter. I told 6443 to go ahead and get back on her meds or his meds. I don't know, man, woman, whatever. But somehow I'm a Kamala supporter, and I'm not really certain why. I'm asking, so why exactly is it that you're calling me a Kamala supporter? And I think part of what she's saying is because I talk about the polls, and I have at times taken exception with Donald Trump's inability at times to stay on message. And if that makes me not a Donald Trump supporter, well, then you've got a very strange way of identifying a Kamala supporter or saying somebody is not a Trump supporter. See, don't you tell people who you like or you love if they're off track? Don't you do that?
Oh, definitely.
Of course. Because I don't want to be sitting here the day after the election, and I can't just be sitting here for the next 3 months saying, oh, Trump is great, Trump is great, Trump is great, and there's absolutely nothing to worry about, and then he loses. And then people look at me and they're going to say, well, either you've been lying to us or you don't know what the hell you're talking about. So all I'm trying to say is you have to pay attention to both candidates to make sure that you know what everybody's doing. I am a Trump supporter. I appreciate everything that Donald Trump does. I think that well, not everything. Some of the things he says drives me nuts because it takes his eye off the ball. But most things I like that Donald Trump does when it comes to policy. Now, the question is, and this is where my buddy Matthew Hurt comes in. Johnny, can you put Matthew on hold? I think I shanked it. Matthew, can you hear me? You're going to have to, hold on. There we go. Matthew, can you hear me?
I've got you now, Dan.
It's been a rough morning at the Radio Ranch. Anyway, so Matthew, let me ask you. So New York Times, I'm going back and forth with somebody who says that both Brian Wilson and I are closet Kamala fans. I know, and she's saying, well, you're being overcritical of Donald Trump. I don't think I'm being overcritical by saying the man needs to stay on message. And I also think, and people, I got criticized last week by a couple of folks because I was talking about some of the polling that is out there showing that Kamala Harris is, doing well. Of course, you and I both know, because you and I have talked about this before, that, the polling companies, they've been wrong many times, but when you see all the polls going in a certain direction, then I think there's probably some truth to them. That's number one. But number two, I got to ask you about the New York Times poll that came out over the weekend that shows that Kamala is ahead by 4 points in 3 battleground states. I think it's Michigan, Pennsylvania, and, I forgot what the last one was. Do you remember the New York Times poll?
You know, Dan, it is to talk about these polls in aggregate. Polling is not a science. It's half art, and as I've said on this show a million times, one poll is just a snapshot in time, but a series of polls tell a story. And even if the polling is off in the New York Times poll, what we've seen over the last couple of weeks is a trend of polls which tell a story. And I think to your point, we saw J.D. Vance do a ton of great interviews over the weekend. He really came into his own, and that interaction with Dana Bash was peak Republican messaging on national television, and that is what Republican voters need, and that is what moderates and independents and undecided people need. The people who have been with Donald Trump since he came down the escalator are on board, and they're going to light up the super text line anytime that you ask a tough question. But it is important for us to ask those tough questions, because we've seen the stark contrast now with J.D. Vance over the weekend and with Donald Trump. And I can't tell you how many, as the chairman of a local Republican party, how many women in particular have called me over the last few weeks and said, I just wish Donald Trump would stay on message. And it is not hurtful. It is not rejecting the campaign to say, wouldn't it be great if Donald Trump could stick to no tax on tips, could stick to securing the southern border, could stick to strengthening America at home and abroad, and nudging him in that direction. And I think it is absolutely acceptable for people like me and for people like you with a large audience to ask those questions and try to nudge the president in the right direction to where he's on message, and his message of American prosperity and of strength abroad resonates, and that people actually hear it and they want to buy into it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. By the way, it's Wisconsin. So you have Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. New York Times saying that Kamala Harris is up by 4 in each of those states. I don't buy that one, though. I mean, I don't think it has shifted that much. I think that might be an outlier, because most of the other polls, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not exactly a poll watcher, but what confuses me is that you have a failure to connect where the American people still believe that America is on the wrong track. It doesn't compute with then how is it that they believe that America's on the wrong track, yet they're so supportive of Kamala Harris, who was one part of Biden-Harris, who have completely shanked the country, and it is on the wrong track. It's like something's not connecting here.
You're right about that, Dan. Again, many people aren't paying it. A lot of people don't pay attention until August, September, October. And if you did a man on the street interview 6 months ago, half of people couldn't even tell you who the vice president was. And now people are cluing in. And as I said, at least a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, the national media, the big news stations, ABC, NBC, CBS, whomever, dropped essentially a multi-$100 million in-kind ad buy, where all they've said is Kamala, she's doing a great job. This is history making. But again, that J.D. Vance interview, especially with Dana Bash, where he said, Kamala Harris has not sat down with a substantive interview. The only substantive policy position she's announced is one that Donald Trump announced months ago, this no tax on tips, which is carried by Congressman Thomas Massey in northern Kentucky. And so she has no policy positions of her own, but what we do have is a history of her being on the wrong side of the issue and announcing, now that she has to appeal to a broader electorate, announcing that she has somehow shifted her entire ideology in the span of 2 or 3 weeks, from the most progressive or the most liberal U.S. senator, according to nonpartisan ratings of U.S. senators, to now this secure the border, strong economy candidate, and it is up to Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and Republicans to draw that contrast and prove it to the American people as they begin to clue in to this election cycle.
It is kind of weird, isn't it, too, Matthew, because, this is a man who the Democrats have said his policies are dangerous, he's a threat to democracy, yet now they're starting to steal his policies. And that's why hashtag copycat Kamala is trending this morning, because, and if you missed the 5 o'clock hour, and I think I may have mentioned it in the opening monologue here in the 6, is that she came out finally with some sort of a concrete policy plan, no taxes on tips. And as everyone knows, if you listen to this show, that's something that Donald Trump has been talking about for at least 6 weeks. Matthew, hold on 1 second. 6:45 on WTN. Time to check the roads on Super Talk. Partly sunny today, a high of 86, and right now 63 at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Want to welcome on into the program again, Matthew Hurt. Matthew, thank you as I introduced you twice. I'm sorry. I'm looking over this this no taxes for tips thing that Kamala Harris is now supporting. What I find interesting, though, is that people are pointing out that, and this is not a shock, but it looks like she's lying. Kamala Harris's first big policy idea, stealing Donald Trump's no taxes on tips. However, she backed the Democrats $80 billion for more IRS audits, including on tip income. The Biden-Harris administration also launched a new IRS crackdown on tips, getting the IRS inside the door at bars and restaurants to directly monitor tips at the cash register at the point of sale, as they say. But I guess the truth doesn't matter, does it?
This is absolutely Orwellian, and I think this is what we're going to see all the way through Election Day. We cannot trust what Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are saying on the campaign trail, and it is going to be up to voters and to stations like this one to again, draw that contrast and to tell the truth about their record. Politicians will say anything to get elected, and this is Democrat politicians, Republican politicians, anybody at all will say anything that the voters want to hear to get elected, but you really have to look at their record. And when it comes to empowering the IRS, when it comes to a regulatory infrastructure that from $600 transactions on your electronic transfer apps, anything that you use, Cash App or anything like that, all of those policies that put a microscope on the microfinances of the American people, those $2, $3 tips at the coffee shop, the 15% or 20% tip at the restaurant, or a $600, me gifting somebody for helping me move into my apartment, all of those are under the microscope thanks to the Biden-Harris administration and thanks to 80,000 new IRS agents. And the proof is in the pudding. They said that those 80,000 IRS agents would go after millionaires and billionaires, and the number one victim of the increased power of the IRS is always middle-class Americans, and it has been proven out over the last few months. Audits and all of those, I would say, retaliatory acts by the IRS have been taken out primarily against middle-class and working-class Americans.
Well, so you couple the fact that they want to eliminate Donald Trump's tax cuts in 2025. You couple that with, of course, the higher prices for, just about everything. You still go to the grocery store, stuff is still more expensive. And there's no doubt that our paychecks are worth a lot less. And if Kamala Harris gets elected, Lord help us, then she's going to allow those tax cuts to expire. And I don't see the economy or the cost of things getting any better. So we're really going to be out even more money if they're elected. I think that for Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, on this particular point, I think this is a point that they just cannot hammer enough, because she is on record as saying that she wants to eliminate the Trump tax cuts.
That is exactly right. And people think about, okay, let's raise the capital gains tax from 15 to 35%, which is what she's proposed. It's even more radical than Joe Biden's proposal. And a lot of people don't think that many Americans have retirement accounts, but a majority of Americans have at least $5,000 in some kind of retirement investment account. So that's going to hit most Americans. And then the individual tax rates are going to kick in. They're going to ratchet back up to their pre-Tax Cuts and Jobs Act levels, and that's going to cost the American family thousands of dollars a year, and that's thousands of dollars they can't put toward retirement, they can't put toward the mortgage, they can't put toward groceries. And I saw a pretty funny meme this morning was, Kamala Harris promised to bring down the cost of groceries once she's elected president.
Yeah.
Well, she's currently in the White House now. What are the policies that the Biden-Harris administration are doing to bring down the cost of groceries? And that is to say, there is nothing they are doing. All of these spending policies, all of these taxing policies lead to higher cost and a pinch in the pocketbook of all Americans, but especially working class Americans.
Matthew, you are going to be speaking at an event. Is it not obviously today, but is it next Monday or Tuesday you're doing an event here in Nashville?
Next Tuesday on the 20th, I'm very excited to join my friends, the Sentinels. They're a constitutional conservative group. They meet in Franklin, so it's Tuesday the 20th at, I believe, 6:30 p.m. at the Hyatt House. That's on Mallory Lane, right off 65. And that's at 6:30, and it's a great opportunity to get back and to see my family, and also to gather with several dozen, perhaps even 100 conservative activists who are looking to plug their efforts into, actionable things they can do to make a difference in Middle Tennessee. So I'm very excited to join them next Tuesday.
Is this kind of thing that people can, if they want to go and hear you speak, can they do that?
They absolutely can. I spoke to the organizer over the weekend. Great guy. He's been at this for quite a while, and he said this would be open to the public. So let's pack out the room at the Hyatt House on August 20th at 6:30 p.m. I'll be there telling stories, taking questions, and firing up constitutional conservative activists.
For folks who haven't heard Matthew speak, it's actually very entertaining and a lot of great information as well. Is there a website people can go to get more information?
I don't have a website, an updated website for them, but I will be back. I should be in town next week, and we may do one of these, Dan, in studio for the first time in a few months. And I will get information out. However, your listeners can find me on Twitter at Matthew Hurt, MatthewHurtt, and I will provide more information as it becomes available to me.
All right, Matthew, have a great rest of the week. We'll talk to you again soon. Looking forward to next Tuesday, 6:53 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Dan Mandis here. Gotta love my friends at Window Nation. Now, next week, a very big week in the Mandis house, because my new windows are being installed into my kitchen and the upstairs bedroom with Window Nation. They already put, as you know, new windows in my downstairs basement studio. They look great. Now, the financial benefits of installing new windows can actually be pretty huge. If you have old and inefficient windows and the AC is blasting, all that cool air, it escapes. And that drives up your energy bills. You can save money with energy-efficient windows from Window Nation, and right now, a great deal for you. You can buy 2 windows, get 2 free, plus right now they have 0% financing for 2 years, and that also includes no down payment, no interest, and no payments for 2 years. Window Nation is looking out for you, trying to save you money. So many ways to save with my window company, Window Nation. Check out all their options at windownation.com. And don't forget that great deal. You buy 2 windows, you're going to get 2 free. Plus, right now, they have 0% financing for 2 years. That includes no down payment, no interest, and no payments for 2 years. Call them, be sure and tell them that you heard about them on my show, Nashville's Morning News on WTN. 866-90-NATION is the phone number. 866-90-NATION. You can always find them online. It's windownation.com. 6:54 on on Super Talk. Ken Weaver, what's coming up at 7?
A deadly shootout leaves a Middle Tennessee teenager dead. Home explosion investigation. New evidence from the Uvalde school massacre has been released. Nashville parents speak out about what they say is a lack of safety measures at their kids' school at 7 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
7 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Tracking the return of showers and thunderstorms. A timeline for the most rain during the full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. Deadly shooting investigation in Gallatin this morning happened at the residences of Gallatin Apartment Complex. That's just southeast of the Long Hollow Pike and Highway 109 interchange. Channel 4's Jordan James says a teenager was killed during an exchange of gunfire as people were breaking into cars.
We spoke off camera with a woman who says her 20-year-old son shot the teenage suspect. She expressed condolences to the suspect's family and tells us that her son was only trying to protect his neighbor's property. Currently, he is in a process of being interviewed by police. It's unclear if he will face any charges or if anyone else has been detained for questioning.
Elsewhere in Middle Tennessee, investigators working to determine the cause of a home explosion in Smyrna happened on St. Michael's Lane, where neighbors ran to help the people inside. This is Ronnie Cannon.
And with the courage that those guys had going in there, they had to go up the steps to get him. The house looked like it had been hit with a bomb.
So they got the wife out. The man is in the hospital with what neighbors say were severe burns. He had been working on his hot water heater. And the city of Uvalde, Texas, has released another batch of documents, images, and files related to the 2022 Robb Elementary School massacre. Here's Jim Ryan with that new information.
As hundreds of law enforcers raced to the school, a call was placed to 911 by the shooter's uncle, asking to mediate the standoff.
Because he does listen to me. Everything I tell him, he does listen to me.
Armando Ramos saw his nephew the night before the shooting.
Do you know of any change in his behavior over the last couple of days?
No, nothing.
Neither Ramos nor the dispatcher knew that the offer to help end the carnage came too late.
Yeah, Uvalde officials fought to keep those files sealed, but lawsuits and Freedom of Information requests have forced their hand. Here in Nashville, parents speaking out about what they say are traffic safety lights not working near their kids' school in Inglewood.
When they get out of school, they can easily just run onto the street. School zone signs, disco balls, anything. Just to alert that there's a school right here. That's very important.
That man telling Channel 4 the 15-mile-per-hour speed limit flashing light sign hasn't worked since classes resumed on Tuesday of last week. The school also does not have a crossing guard, he says. Neighbors say they want more speed bumps and school zone signs, too. And since school started on Tuesday of last week, Metro Police say they made at least 205 traffic stops and have written 89 citations. Among those are 36 for speeding, 14 for cell phones, and 5 for carelessness. Market Numbers Report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management. Online at beaconcm.com. Dow futures up 88, S&P up 15, NASDAQ up 48. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Information fueled.
Opinion driven. This is Nashville's Morning News with Dan Mandis.
And so, my fellow Americans,
we talk news.
7:08, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome on in. Monday, August 12th, and boy, it sure feels like a Monday, along with Johnny B. Ken Weaver. I'm Dan Mandis. How are you, friends? One of the things that I'm noticing, Johnny and Ken, is that the folks on the left, they're feeling rather emboldened. That's part of what I'm noticing, is that they're excited, they're raring to go, and if you dare name yourself or identify yourself as a Donald Trump supporter, then they're going after you. They're going after you on the super text line. They're going after you on Twitter as well and other various social media places. By the way, big news. Donald Trump and Elon Musk are going to break the internet tonight because Trump is going to do long-form interview with Elon Musk, I guess, on X tonight. So I'm looking forward to hearing that. I'll have some audio for you perhaps tomorrow. We'll see how the audio sounds. But Johnny, you were telling me off the air you had a bit of a kerfuffle with somebody on X over the weekend.
Yeah, I think it was a bot or possibly just a hit-and-run Democrat, what I call them. But anyway, I was criticizing the Harris team and also, of course, Joe Biden. But I said I'm losing my butt right now financially. I said it's thanks to these two. I think I said something like the old fossil in her.
The old fossil, yes, okay.
And I said, vote for, if you vote this team in again, this new team, I said, I'll see you at the bread line, something like that. This Democrat, I forget what they were called, Blue Democrat, something like that.
Yeah.
They came back and said, shop smarter, John, and pay attention.
Did you send them the middle finger
I tried
emoji?
to. It was good. The site was gone by the time I got to it.
Bots are out there.
They are.
I just got followed on Twitter. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I just got followed on Twitter by a parody account called Tucker Carlson. I don't know. I'm not paying attention all that much to the Twitter accounts that are following me. I'm getting a lot more Twitter activity these days. And I think it's just the bots, which is fine.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody said to me on the super text line, because, part of the storyline today is Kamala Harris announcing that she is suddenly for not taxing tips, which is what Donald Trump has been talking about for quite some time. And somebody on the super text line said something to the effect of, well, what does it matter if it's Kamala's idea or Donald Trump's idea? I mean, it's a great idea, by and large, doesn't matter which one came up with it. And I will tell you, and I responded back to the super texter, absolutely it matters whose idea it is. Because with Donald Trump, I believe that he'll really try to do it. I think that Kamala Harris is just saying whatever she wants to say. Hopefully it'll stick for her and, people will believe the lies that she's telling and that'll be something that people vote on. But I don't believe that that is something that she will want to do. Remember that Donald Trump, so once she's into office, that'll be another broken campaign promise of Kamala Harris because she is on record as saying that she wants to raise taxes by eliminating the Trump tax cuts. So Donald Trump has always been lower taxes, lower regulation. Those are two things that Donald Trump has always said. So I believe that Donald Trump would actually do. He'll execute his no taxes on tips. That is a campaign promise that he would actually see through. I don't believe that Kamala Harris, I don't think that you can believe anything that she says, quite frankly, because her campaign is so incredibly, number one, inept, and number two, it's just full of lies. And that's the problem. So either they're stealing Donald Trump's policies or they're lying about Donald Trump's policies, and the ones that they like, they actually try to steal. Goes on and on. But that's why I think that it depends on who you trust to actually come through with the campaign promise. Who will actually see it through, Donald Trump or Kamala Harris? If it's no taxes on tips, I believe that Donald Trump would actually see that through. Brian Kilmeade had what I thought was a really interesting interview with a guy named John Taffer. Now, if you don't know who John Taffer is, he is the guy that hosts Bar Rescue. And that is a show about saving bars across America. So John Taffer comes in, and he is like the guy who rescues restaurants. It's like the same thing. He comes into bars, and he tells them what's wrong with their bar and how to fix it. Now, the point of the interview on Fox, I think it was maybe on Fox Nation or whatever, but it was talking about the struggles that business owners everywhere are going through. And the point of the interview was also the struggles of everyday Americans, bar owners, of course, among them, and also those who work in bars. And, you know, let's face it, that's a lot of the American people, including people that work on tips, and part of their pay is tips. This is part of what John Taffer had to say.
Costs are up, but traffic is down. So I saw even on Fox a few weeks ago a poll that 68% of Americans think fast food is a luxury now. Wow, what a shift from a utilitarian meal to a luxury meal. So there's a whole shift. So our traffic is down and our costs are up.
And so here's the thing about Taffer is that, and they started out the interview saying, you know, we could talk about, you know, the economy with economists. And we can talk about it with people, you know, wearing suits, and they've all got agendas. And, you know, we can talk to somebody from, you know, the Harris campaign who says, oh, no, the economy's great. But it's another thing to speak directly to someone who deals with the American people and can talk about what the American people are going through. I mean, every once in a while, I ask folks from the Super Text line how you're doing as far as the Biden-Harris economy goes. And, you know, Kamala-nomics or the Biden-nomics, you know, however you want to say it. And people are still hurting. And so you can have one of these, you know, talking heads that work for the for the Harris campaign, and they'll tell you that everything's great. But the American people, you folks, we go to the grocery store and it's still a lot more expensive. They can bring out charts, you know, the suits that work for Harris, they can bring out their charts and they can say everything's fine. And you can talk about, you know, the charts and all these other things. But the reality is that stuff is still really expensive. And Taffer talks about that. I've got a little bit more from this interview because it was a really good interview straight ahead on WTN. Time to check the roads. .716 on Nashville's Morning News, partly sunny today and a high of 86. Right now, 64 at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Talking about this interview with John Taffer. This was on Fox News, and he hosts a show. Maybe you've heard of it. It's called Bar Rescue. He goes in, he tries to rescue bars, and he's talking about what these bar owners and the people that work in bars are going through. And it's all about stuff is more expensive. And here's the other thing is that as the cost of things continue to increase, people are actually losing their jobs. And this is happening in just about every industry that is out there. And he talked about the bankruptcies that are happening.
Rubio's in California. The $20 minimum wage almost killed them, but then Bidenomics took them down. They just filed bankruptcy. Tijuana Flats filed bankruptcy. There's a company called Miracle Restaurant Group. They have 25 Arby's, fast food. All 25 are closed. They filed bankruptcy. Another company filed bankruptcy with 17 Popeyes units. Then there's Rue 21 retailers, Express, Bed Bath & Beyond. These are all bankruptcies, bro.
I mean, listen, these are all companies that are going out of business. Again, people losing their jobs. Clearly, it is sad and it's tragic because you have less choices for places to go. You also have people losing jobs. You're now losing out on local tax revenue as well. And he talks about driving through cities across the country And part of what he does is obviously he travels to various bars in cities across America. So he has seen firsthand what is going on, quite frankly, in these blue cities and how the policies of Democrats lead to things like bankruptcies and lost jobs. And you see these cities, there's no other way to say it, they go to hell. They lose jobs. The schools are crappy. The crime goes up and on it goes. And he talks about seeing all of those vacant storefronts.
I drive through a downtown area and I see all the vacant stores. I don't see vacant stores. I see crushed families, crushed dreams. The impact is powerful. Think about this for a moment. Whether you're on the left or on the right, no matter what your political desires are, prosperity drives everything.
He's right. And they talk about, and that, by the way, the audio bite you just heard, where when he sees a closed storefront and they're all boarded up and so forth, he sees a closed storefront, but he also does see a devastated family and people losing their jobs. And they talk about rising labor costs, rising food costs. Everything is more expensive. And these demands, like in California, where they demanded, a $20 an hour minimum wage. Remember that? And you had all of these businesses say, we can't do this. We can't do this. Well, they did it anyway. And so now what they're seeing is businesses closing down. You can talk about the mandatory minimum wage. You could talk about a lot of the regulations that you see as well. And so this is what's going on. And so, and I had an opening monologue on this. I don't have time to do what I did in the 5 o'clock hour. If you want to hear it, go back and listen in the 5 on YouTube or Facebook. We'll probably podcast it as well. But I'm so frustrated and confused because you do see the polling where Kamala seems to be doing well, yet the American people, we don't approve of where the country is headed. We believe that the country is in dire straits and we're not headed in the right direction. So how is it possible? And this is why I'm very cynical on the polls. How is it possible that more people are supporting Kamala Harris than Donald Trump when she is part of the administration that, by and large, the American people are unsatisfied with the direction that they have taken our country? But then it made all the sense in the world to me. I meant to bring this up with Matthew Hurd earlier, because all across America, you have these cities like Washington, D.C., for example, or the entire state of California, the entire state of Oregon or Seattle, Washington, all these places. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania is another one where these cities are going to hell in a handbasket, yet every single time, what do? They vote in Democrats. And so then it does seem plausible that clearly Democrats, despite the clear evidence that their policies lead to the ruining of cities and states, they'll continue to vote for the Democrats because they simply don't care. They don't care about results. They don't care about, for a party that claims to care so much about kids, and put the abortion thing aside, I don't believe the Democrats care about kids. You know why? Because they could give two craps about a kid going to a really bad school. They oppose school choice. I could do this all day long. Do you really care about kids, Democrats? Because it's pretty clear that you don't really care if they're growing up in neighborhoods that are filled with violence. How do I know that? Because you want to defund the police. All day long, I could do this. Almost every single policy that Kamala Harris and the Democrats support lead to bad things happening to the American people. Yet they vote for him. And they've been doing this for years. Look at all of these Democrat-run cities. Look at Memphis. Look at Washington, D.C. Look at Baltimore. All of these cities have been going downhill for generations. And yet nobody on the left says, maybe we might want to, maybe vote Republican. Oh, no, we possibly can't do that. There are a bunch of racists over there. Oh, okay. I'm telling you, that's what's going on. 723 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Text line is open, 615-737-9986. Speaking of trying to save money, Busy Bee HVAC, they're always looking for ways to save you money. And right now, they've got a great back-to-school special going on right now. You buy a new high-efficiency HVAC unit, you can register to win the Healthy Hive giveaway, which is a $2,000 sponsorship to a local school of the winner's choice. Now, remember, at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating and Cooling, they do plumbing. And right now, you can get $500 off of a tankless water heater conversion, $500 off of a home drain repipe, and a whole lot more. And when you become a Beehive member, you can get a free membership for a teacher, coach, or faculty member. Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, they do care about our communities. Call them, 615-775-7833. I've been a Beehive member for years. I'm telling you, friends, it is really worth it. 615-737-775-7833, 615-775-7833. You can find them online, busybeehvac.com. 724 on Super Talk. Ken Weaver, what's coming up in the news?
A Middle Tennessee teenager is dead after a shootout when thieves were caught breaking into cars. Someone's Ring doorbell camera captured the moment a home exploded. Middle East Pentagon announcement, new evidence in the 2022 Uvalde school massacre. Coming up at 7:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis, and I am so glad that California Closets has fixed my closet catastrophe. After exact measuring and planning, they came over and got to work. Yeah, once it was all plotted out on their 3D CAD system, the pieces are measured, cut, and precisely installed into my space. It was clean, fast, and professional, and above all, my new closets look and function great. Now, this was my dormer, and now this is my new dormer thanks to California Closets. Look at all of this added space for shirts and shoes, you name it, and it is cut so precisely, simply amazing. And my old closet that has now been reborn as the ultimate in style and functionability, making the best use of the space that I had. They can work on just about anything: bedrooms, garages, home offices, closets, pantries, and so much more. Find them online, CaliforniaClosets.com, and see what they can do for you. You can schedule a free design consultation. Mention my name, CaliforniaClosets.com. 729, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My friends at USS, they are here to help you out. Now, it's back to school time, and my friends at United Structural Systems, they know that new school clothes and supplies are expensive, so they're offering a great back-to-school promotion. They're going to offer you 10% off of any job over $2,500, along with special financing options as well. No payments and no interest for an entire year. That is huge. United Structural Systems, you know, they can fix your foundation. They can help you with waterproofing and concrete leveling, to name just a few. They've been helping Middle Tennesseans for over 30 years. I've had them out to my house several times. They always do great work. Don't forget that great deal, 10% off of any job over $2,500, along with special financing options as well. No payments and no interest for an entire year. Now, as I said, USS is the company that helped me with my foundation. They're the company I trust. I've trusted them for years. I'm a client of USS, and I support them, and I endorse them highly. Call them, mention my name, 615-488-7855, 615-488-7855. We guarantee our best. Call USS. You can find them online, USSTN.com.
7:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now in Middle Tennessee, a teenager is dead after a shootout after car thieves were caught breaking into cars. This happening at the residences of Gallatin apartment complex. The teenager who died was allegedly trying to break into cars. Police questioning one person involved in the shootout. Fire investigators working to determine what caused a home to explode in Smyrna yesterday. Happened around 4:35 on St. Michael's Drive. A man is in the hospital with what neighbors said were severe burns. Someone's Ring doorbell camera captured a home explosion yesterday in Maryland. We get more from Perry Russum at the scene.
The debris field spanning several blocks. 2 people killed, 1 injured.
My wife and I both thought that the city had been bombed.
County officials say the blast could be heard from 3 miles away. State investigators say gas was reportedly smelled in the area before the explosion.
A 35-year-old Baltimore gas and electric worker and a resident who is believed to be the 73-year-old homeowner killed. Middle East Pentagon announcement. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin ordering a guided missile submarine to the Middle East. He's also accelerating the deployment of the USS Abraham Lincoln, an aircraft carrier strike group. That's according to a statement by the Pentagon as Israel braces for a possible attack by Iran. And the 2022 Uvalde school massacre still under investigation, but now we're getting to hear the 911 calls that depict the chaos and the delayed response. Here's Derek Dennis.
Chilling evidence released over the weekend from the shooting inside Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, where 19 students and 2 teachers were killed in 2022. Police took 77 minutes to take down the shooter. A man saying he's the gunman's uncle is heard on one 911 call, asking to be transferred to his nephew to get him to stop the shooting.
That is the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Thank you, Ken. 7:32 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Listen, if you've got a piece of land that you don't know what to do with, I want you to think about a pole barn from my friends at Stoltzko. They are the premier pole barn builders in the state of Tennessee. Now, you know that putting up a pole barn from Stoltzko could increase the value of your land big time. That's always a plus, clearly. You can use your new pole barn as a garage, an event space, an equestrian building, or you could just live in it. Now, the thing is, pole barns from Stoltzko, they're flexible and built really well. You can also plan ahead and build your retirement home. So call Stoltzko, tell him Dan Mandis told you to reach out, 615-622-5992, 615-622-5992 for Stoltzko. You can also find them on Instagram and Facebook and check out these incredible pole barns. You can also find them at their website, STOLTZCO, Stoltzko.com. 7:38, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. People want me to talk about this. I don't know. This whole AI controversy where Donald Trump is out there apparently saying that Kamala Harris, the crowd size, because there's all kinds of pictures of the crowd of Kamala Harris, and they're saying, the president is saying, former President Donald Trump is saying that it's AI generated, that people are not showing up to Kamala Harris's events, and Trump is saying that the photos are AI generated. And so I'm looking at some of these photos, and you've got, one guy who has like a, 2-foot neck. You got another guy in the Kamala Harris photos that has 4 arms. I mean, there's all these examples of what people are saying, see, that's AI generated. Yeah, but I don't know if this is a photograph that was actually generated by the Harris people, or if this is a photograph that was done by Trump's people to make it look like it's a photo generated by Kamala Harris. I have no idea. I don't know if she's lying about the amount of people that are showing up for her events. I have no clue. And here's the thing. I don't care. Do you know what I do know? I do know that thousands of people show up every day. Every time Trump has an event, thousands of people show up. You know what I do know? What I do know is that when people show up to see Kamala Harris, they think that there is some sort of, or there is a musical artist that is going to be playing. And so they show up for that musical artist, and then the concert ends, and here comes Kamala Harris. And Donald Trump, he doesn't need that. Are the AI images that are being produced by whoever it is, are they real? Are they fake? I have no idea, and I don't care. Because to spend any amount of time on that kind of a conversation takes away from what is really going on in our world. For example, Joe Biden. Did you hear what Joe Biden said? This was over the weekend. He was being interviewed, and he talks about, of course, former President Donald Trump, possibly future President Donald Trump, and he's talking about the KKK.
Think of this. Every other time the Ku Klux Klan's been involved, they wore hoods, so they're not identified. Under his presidency, they came out of those woods with no hoods, knowing they had an ally. That's how I read it. They knew they had an ally in the White House, and he stepped up for them.
So it's just, that dude is just toast. Do you know when you burn a piece of toast and it's just like obliterated and it's like all crummy and it starts falling apart? That's Joe Biden's brain. That is Joe Biden's brain. And when he's talking about how his accusation is that they had an ally in the White House, I'm air quoting that. He leans forward. You know how he does Creepy Joe with the Creepy Joe lean forward? And again, Joe Biden is irrelevant. I don't even know why they're bothering to interview him, because, to be honest, there's no real conversation of substance that you can have with Joe Biden. I'd rather talk about things that you and I are experiencing and America is experiencing, and what Kamala Harris is saying, and the accusations that are very real accusations that are being made by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris against Donald Trump. For example, one of the things, and you just heard, Biden talk about how the KKKers took off their hoods because they felt like there was an ally in the White House. Obviously, that's a bunch of BS. But what you can also hear is how bad Biden's brain is. And so one of the things that J.D. Vance, the running mate of of Donald Trump, one thing J.D. Vance said about Kamala Harris is he was saying, okay, so let's just talk about who's been calling the shots in the White House, because clearly it hasn't been Joe Biden.
I think Kamala Harris clearly owns the policies of the Biden-Harris administration, especially when we consider the fact that, as we've all learned over the last few months, Joe Biden clearly isn't capable of doing the job. And so I think that drives home that Kamala Harris really has been the one calling the shots. I mean, how could she not? I think Joe Biden doesn't really know where he is.
Kamala Harris has been calling the shots as who?
I mean, that's Dana Bash. Do you know, when I was watching this Dana Bash interview, it's like she went on there and it was clear that she was trying to defend the honor of Tim Walz, Kamala Harris, and Joe Biden. It was obvious that is what she felt like her role was, because she was arguing back and forth with Vance. And, you know, I would be interested to see if when Dana Bash finally gets an interview with Kamala Harris, will she play devil's advocate as much as she did with J.D. Vance? And listen, I don't mind a journalist playing devil's advocate as long as they do so for both sides. And that's the whole point. So when she says, well, who's calling the shots? When J.D. Vance said clearly it was Kamala calling the shots, and then Dana Bash says there's no evidence of that, or says who? I mean, as I said in the 5 o'clock hour, it's either Obama, the deep pockets of the Democrat Party, all of the above. It's, Kamala Harris, whoever it is a fair question to ask. Everybody said the president was sharp. Clearly, Joe Biden is not sharp.
Well, certainly they've levied that charge against me more than anybody else, but I think that it drives home how they're trying to distract from their own policy failures. I mean, look, this is fundamentally schoolyard bully stuff. They can accuse me of whatever they want to accuse me of. As Harry S. Truman once said, if you can't take the heat, stay out of the kitchen. And I'm doing this because I think that me being vice president will help improve people's lives.
Right. That's my point exactly. You know, because the question was, they're calling you weird, and they're really calling you weird and Donald Trump not so much. And he says, listen, that's what they're going to do. The schoolyard bullying tactics are ridiculous. And the reason they're ridiculous and the reason why they're using these tactics is because they don't have any policies of their own unless they're stealing them from Donald Trump. But then he goes on this long soliloquy about how weird Kamala Harris is, and Tim Walz as well. Going to play that coming up next. I think some of the comments from the super text line is 615-737-9986. A lot of people saying that J.D. Vance and his performance over the weekend on not one, not two, but three of the talking head news shows over the weekend tells you why exactly it is that Donald Trump saw something in J.D. Vance and wanted J.D. Vance to be his running partner. 746, time to check the roads on WTN. .747 on WTN, partly sunny today and a high of 86. And right now 65 at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. 0636, was Trump hit with an AI bullet? No. Clearly that was not an AI bullet, obviously. Other people saying the AI story is complete BS. Other people saying they agree with Donald Trump or Trump supporters who are saying that Kamala's photos of her event are AI generated. Again, I don't know. Do you know why I don't know? Do you know why I don't care? Because I'm more concerned with what people feel every single day. I am concerned, by the way, about artificial intelligence. I'm absolutely concerned about the impact of AI in this election and any other election as well, because that is some scary stuff. And they can use, AI can be used to make a person say or make it look like they're doing something that they're not actually doing. So, and I was talking earlier, if you're just joining us, There's Donald Trump out there saying that Kamala Harris is using AI-generated photographs to make her crowd look bigger. And people are pointing to images of some dude with like a 2-foot neck and another guy has 4 arms. And they're saying that is evidence that these are AI-generated pictures. But then other people are saying, no, here's the original photos. And you're using AI to make it look like Kamala Harris is using AI. Do you see the rabbit hole this goes down? It's like, you know what? Here's the deal, friends. We know that the border was wide open. We know that we've got millions of illegals in this country. We know that we've got hundreds of ISIS members or sympathizers in this country. We know the crap is still really expensive, and we know that a lot of people have needlessly died under the Biden administration. That I know. That I can tell you with certainty. AI and 2-foot necks and 4 arms and legs, I don't know if that's real or not, and I don't care. I think it's a distraction from what is really going on out there. I have these comments from J.D. Vance talking about why Kamala Harris and Governor Walz are projecting this notion that he, J.D. Vance, is weird, and it all has to do with their policies or lack thereof.
Because they aren't comfortable with their policy positions for the American people. And so they're name calling instead of actually telling the American people how they're going to make their lives better. I think that's weird, Dana, but look, they can call me whatever they want to. I think this election should be about who's going to solve the inflation crisis, who's going to make groceries and housing more affordable, who's going to secure that southern border. Kamala Harris's record is that she supported all the policies that made that problem worse, Dana. We're trying to say we're going to take the country in a different direction.
Yeah. Again, those are edited comments. If you want to go see J.D. Vance, and I thought he was really good in this interview with Dana Bash, go find it on social media. It's all over the place. I'm playing some longer cuts as I tend to do. Some of the other media outlets are just playing little, 10 to 12 second cuts. I like to play longer cuts to give you more perspective and context. One of the other questions that Vance was asked was, of course, about Tim Walz and the stolen valor. Now, this lie about going to war, the obfuscation of the fact that he did not carry a gun into a war zone. We can quibble all we want about whether or not he should have retired when he did to avoid actual combat. But the fact does remain that he did lie about all of this, and it's just wrong. And here's the deal. A lot of veterans are really angry about what he did.
Well, of course, Dana, I honor his service, and I've never criticized what Tim Walz did when he was in the military. I criticized his retirement decision, and most importantly, Dana, I criticized his lying about his own record, okay? This is a guy who was captured on video saying, I carried a gun in war. He never went to war. This is a guy who's been captured on video. As other people say, he's an Afghanistan veteran. He's a veteran of a war, nodding along in agreement instead of saying, no, I did serve my country and I did it honorably, but I never went to a war zone. I'm not criticizing Tim Walz's service. I'm criticizing the fact that he lied about his service for political gain.
Yeah, the Harris campaign, by the way, finally came out and admitted that Governor Walz, I'm going to air quote this, misspoke about all of that. But what Vance says is that no, this was not a one-time misspeak. This was a lie that has gone on for years. Here's what they said over the weekend. Lauren Hitt, a Harris campaign spokesperson, said in a statement the governor misspoke in the now infamous clip where he talked about carrying a gun into a war zone. Governor Walz would never insult or undermine any American service to this country. In fact, he thanked Senator Vance for putting his life on the line for our country. It is the American way, Hitt said in the statement. In making the case for why weapons of war should never be on our streets or in our classrooms, the governor misspoke. Hitt continued, he did handle weapons of war and believed strongly that only military members trained to carry those deadly weapons should have access to those weapons, unlike Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, who prioritize the gun lobby over our children. Oh, okay. So only the government should have a certain caliber of weapon. That's, I would say, wrong. Oh, and bad guys can also have those weapons because, if you're Kamala Harris and she's going to have this mandatory buyback program, well, you think the bad guys, I understand this is a cliche at this point, are the bad guys going to participate in this mandatory buyback program? Of course not. They'll only come after the good guys who follow law and order, although I don't see a lot of the 2A supporting good guys giving up their guns in any kind of a mandatory buyback program, which is what Kamala Harris has said in the past that she wants to do. It is 7:53 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Speaking of which, the Glock store. Now, you know how much I love the Glock store, right? It is where I buy my guns. It's where I buy my ammo and my accessories. And it is where I learn to shoot and continue to train. Now, training at the Glock store is really great because every session is a private lesson in private rooms, not public lanes. They also do parties at the Glock store. No, seriously, they do. They do parties at the Glock store. I've actually seen the party room. I've seen bachelor parties going on. I've seen bachelorette parties going on, birthday parties, retirements. They even do corporate team building at the Glock store in Nashville. Now, parties will include a VIP room with a full kitchen, dedicated shooting rooms with instructors, and shooting activities designed for every level. They also include ammo and even full auto options. To get your party started, email my friends at the Glock store, party@glockstore.com. That's party@glockstore.com. And they can start planning a customized party just for your needs. The Glock store, my place to shoot and party, minutes from the airport and worth the drive from anywhere. 7:54 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Ken Weaver, what's coming up in the news at 8?
More U.S. troops and equipment moving toward the Middle East. Car thieves caught in the act leads to a deadly shootout in Middle Tennessee. New files, documents, and audio from the 2022 Uvalde school massacre coming up at 8 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Middle East Pentagon announcement today. Tom Sufi Burridge says U.S. troops and hardware moving into place.
The Pentagon moving a guided missile submarine, the USS Georgia, to the Middle East. The location of that sub, armed with cruise missiles, normally top secret. And by also speeding up the redeployment of an additional aircraft carrier to the region, the U.S. upping its message of deterrence, telling Iran and its proxies to back down.
Yeah, Iranian officials this weekend doubling down on their threat to retaliate against Israel after two key assassinations in Tehran and Beirut. Right now in Middle Tennessee, a teenager is dead after an exchange of gunfire when thieves were caught breaking into cars. Channel 4's Jordan James says it happened at the residences of Gallatin Apartment Complex, just southeast of the Long Hollow Pike and Highway 109 interchange.
We spoke off camera with a woman who says her 20-year-old son shot the teenage suspect. She expressed condolences to the suspect's family and tells us that her son was only trying to protect his neighbor's property. Currently, he is in a process of being interviewed by police. It's unclear if he will face any charges or if anyone else has been detained for questioning.
Elsewhere in Middle Tennessee, Ronnie Cannon of Smyrna tells Channel 4 neighbors rushed to the rescue after a home explosion on St. Michael's Lane yesterday.
And with the courage that those guys had going in there, they had to go up the steps to get him. The house looked like it had been hit with a bomb.
Now, neighbors said the homeowner was working on his hot water tank when the explosion occurred. That man's in the hospital with what neighbors say are severe burns. A new batch of documents, images, and files related to the 2022 Robb Elementary School massacre has been released by the city of Uvalde. Here's Jim Ryan.
Body-worn video depicts a police response that's already been roundly criticized as a failure, but buried in the 911 calls from that day
He's my nephew, man. He's the shooter.
is one from Armando Ramos.
Can I please go? Talk him down, please, man.
Okay, Armando, I'm going to have an officer go get you, okay?
Please.
Tragically, the call came after 19 students, 2 teachers, and 18-year-old gunman Salvador Ramos were already dead.
Uvalde officials had fought to keep those files sealed, but lawsuits and Freedom of Information requests have forced their hand. Market numbers report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Dow futures up 82, S&P up 14, NASDAQ up 47. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Information fueled, opinion driven. This is Nashville's Morning News with Dan Mandis.
And so, my fellow Americans,
we talk news.
8:07, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Appreciate you being here along with Johnny B, Ken Weaver, Dan Mandis here. And there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on in the Middle East. I'm going to cover that for you here in a little bit. I do want to play this for you. This is incredible. I'll have to, let me go ahead and just repost this on my X feed. People are getting mad at me because I kept calling Twitter. And they're telling me that out of respect to Elon Musk, I should call it X. I actually get that. And so I'm really making a concerted effort to call it X and not Twitter. But anyway, this is, and I just reposted it. You can follow me at Dan Mandis Show. This is a great new video posted by Donald Trump. I don't know if it's an official video or not, but the theme is 2024. It is our final battle.
2024, it's our final battle. We're either going to have a country greater than ever before, or we're not going to have a country at all. And we're ready for it. Are we ready? We're ready.
Damn, you knew all the planes we flew, good things we've been through. Then I'll be standing right here talking to you about another path. I know we love to hit the road and laugh, but something told me that it wouldn't last. Had to switch up.
You got all kinds of flags, and you got Trump in his SUV.
This nation does not belong to them. This nation belongs to you. This is your home. This is your heritage. And our American liberty is your God-given right.
How can we not talk about family when family's all that we got? Everything I went through, you were standing there by my side. And now you're going to be with me for the last one.
You know, the end of that video, the last like 5 or 6, maybe 7 seconds is Donald Trump dancing with the. Do you know what I wonder? If you go into like a New York or a LA, dance club, whatever those things are people doing the Trump? You think they do the Trump, or do they just, would that be frowned upon?
Well, I think some just naturally do it. Like he does.
I have never in a million years. Hold on. Time out. Is Ken back there? I have never seen anyone ever naturally do the Trump. Like I never have. I've never seen that dance move ever. Have you?
Yeah.
You've seen people dance like Donald Trump before Donald Trump made it famous?
My father used to dance like that. Jokingly.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go to the super text line. Have you ever, before Trump made the Trump famous, the Trump dance move famous, did you ever see anybody actually doing that? I mean, I've seen some awful dancers.
Oh, yes.
And I don't know if Trump is a good dancer or a bad dancer. That's the thing.
I've seen some bad dancing, and worst probably was in the mirror.
Oh, yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm, thumbs out, overbite the whole thing, churning the butter, all of that kind of stuff. But see, I think if I was to go, and I would never do this, I'd probably break a hip.
Would.
But if I did go out dancing somewhere, I would probably try to do the Trump.
Oh, yeah.
Just
to make people mad.
You know what people need to do? So if somebody's out there and you can do like parody songs, I would like to see or hear somebody, the song "Do the Hustle." I would like to see somebody do the Trump. Do the Trump.
Do the Trump, man.
And then have all kinds of video of
people doing
Trump dancing.
Trump
doing the Trump. Do you know what's funny? I don't know if I've ever seen anybody dance like Donald Trump yet. Actually.
Not lately, no.
Have you ever seen anybody actually dance like Donald Trump?
Exactly like him, no.
Yeah, I don't know if that is a thing. I mean, sometimes people speak like Donald Trump, use his vernacular, will have fun, with. I mean, I'm always using his accordion hands, when I'm talking. I don't know if I've ever seen anybody actually do the Trump.
I haven't either. I mean, as far as doing it just like him, no.
I think what we need to do is our next event, Oh, what we ought to do. We got to find out. We got to figure out a bet.
A dance-off.
A dance-off.
With our listeners.
Who could do the Trump better?
Yes.
Oh, that's what we need to
and
do.
have something for them to win.
So
I know I've just upset the office of no, but...
We're all good ideas go to die, Johnny, when we have to ask the company for a prize. No, I think wouldn't it be funny in our next event, which I think is going to be the debate, maybe the warm-up act before the debate can be, we'll do the Trump. And whoever can do the Trump the best, the judges will be, all of us at WTN, and whoever does it best will win a prize. I think that's a great idea.
I've got a great idea, and I'll have to run it over with you in break.
Well, don't run it over with me because, I have nothing to say around here anymore.
Well, I know you don't, but I'm just getting your
my opinion on it?
An idea that's hitting me.
Okay. Well, don't hit you too hard. Whatever. You know what I would be curious of? If, hey, Ken's back. Hey, Ken, put on your headphones. Tell Ken... Hey, Ken.
Yeah, Brother Dan Mandis.
Johnny and I are engaged in a conversation.
Okay.
So, have you ever seen, how Donald Trump dances? Have you ever seen anyone actually dance like Donald Trump, like when they're not paying homage to the former president?
No.
All right, see, that's me. I've never seen anyone dance like that at all.
No. It's his dance. It's the Trump dance.
I know Elaine Bennis had a terrible dance. Oh, no. 2133 says? This ain't going to happen for a number of different reasons. The winner of the Trump dance-off thing, win a dream date with Mandis. First of all, I'm off the market, and just ask Amy. There's nothing dreamy about a date with Mandis. It's more of like a nightmare. We were joking over the weekend. It's like, all I wanted to do was have a cup of coffee, and we ended up married. What the hell happened? It's like, I'm sorry, honey, I know. Sucks to be her.
Dude, I think the Trump dance is cool, man.
I do.
Nobody's got that.
I like it, too.
Yeah.
I like the Trump. I tell you what. Do you know what? Next time I go to Morgan Wallen's bar, I'm going to have a couple of shots of whiskey, and I'm going to go out into the middle of the dance floor, and I'm going to start doing the Trump.
Okay, I'll go with you if you do that.
Would you go with me, Ken? Johnny?
If you go out in the middle of the dance floor and you do the Trump dance,
we want to be there.
I'll even throw back a couple of shots of Jack.
Oh, my God.
I won't do that, but I'll watch you.
Okay. Well, but Johnny, will you partake?
Partake of what? Oh, doing the dance?
Doing the Trump.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
I'm not scared to dance.
Let's do this. Let's all three wear a Trump suit.
Yes.
But, Dan, you have to go out in the dance floor and do the Trump dance.
And we'll be like the two guys backing the guy. Like we're...
oh, sure.
Like the Three Tops or something.
So I'm like the...
No, we'll just stay at the bar.
Okay. You know what, Ken? You went from I'll get out there and do the dance with you
I did not say that.
I'm just going to sit here and drink and laugh at you, Mandis.
You're pulling leftist propaganda.
I'm not pulling leftist propaganda. You made a promise. Now you're saying no, you won't.
Now, here's
you got
what
me
we
all
do.
excited.
Here's what we do, Ken. You and I dance on the bar.
Wait,
oh, yeah, man. Come on.
That.
We're doing the Trump. Come on.
You guys have to wear your Daisy Dukes.
Well, we won't be doing that.
And
your Daisy Dukes.
And your mega hat, and you guys will do the Trump.
Oh.
No? Oh. Just so we're clear.
Hey, man, I was almost there until you said Daisy Dukes.
You said you were going to do the Trump dance. And that's when I said, okay, if you do the Trump dance, I'll go with you to Morgan Wallen's bar.
Oh, but now you're changing your story, and you're saying that you wouldn't, do the dance with me.
No, you'll
be there to drink.
We'll throw a chair off the top.
Doesn't have the same impact as the Trump dance.
No, it really doesn't, man.
Just
it's not the
you.
same thing. No.
Oh, my gosh, Dan.
You know what people...
I'm telling you, dude, if you do that...
I think that'd be... You know what we ought to... Oh, my gosh. You know what we ought to do?
You know what we could call it? Sharecropping.
Really, Ken? You got to bring up the 5 o'clock hour? Do you know how I know
I'm never going to get over that.
Do you know how I know that my wife listens to the show and watches the show in delay?
Because she brought it up.
Because it's 7:20 this morning. She says, oh, my God, Dan, sharecropping. Now, if you don't know what that means, you didn't hear the 5 o'clock hour, and I'm not even going to get into it. But if you want to hear Mandis at either his best or his worst, go back and listen to the 535 gang of Three Amigos. It was bad.
It was good. I freaking loved it.
It was bad in a good way or good in a bad way. I'm not sure.
That's a great name for a song.
Or this show. Hey, it's 8:17. Time to check the roads on WTN. Thank you very much. 8:18, Nashville's Morning News on WTN. Partly sunny today and a high of 86. I think I know what I want to do with the Trump dance-off.
All right.
And Morgan Wallen.
It's not going to be a dance-off, man.
No, it's going to be. I've come up with an idea. So do you know how on social media you can tweet out like to a whole bunch of folks, hey, show up at the corner of like 3rd and Broadway and we'll all do a dance.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, a flash mob.
A flash mob. You know what we ought to do? We ought to have like a Trump dance flash mob in Morgan Wallen's or Kid Rock's. You know, at Kid Rock's, although I think Morgan Wallen is a conservative. You guys think Morgan Wallen's a conservative? Do you know who Morgan Wallen had at his concert? You know, he does these epic walk-ons now.
Yeah.
He had Mike Tyson and Tom Brady at his, I think it was over the weekend.
Yeah.
So he's walking through the corridor or the concourse, whatever it is, at the stadium, and he's getting ready to, you know, run up on stage.
Yeah.
And he's got Mike Tyson and Tom Brady with him. And you know who he had a while back is he had Travis Kelce.
Really?
He did. I was surprised too, Ken. As a matter of fact, I think it was my wife that said, I wonder how Tay-Tay would feel about this. And I thought, oh, snap. I don't know. But I think...
I don't...
But yeah, it was Mike Tyson. And I said, I don't think that's Tom Brady. And Amy and I started arguing about whether or not it was Tom Brady or not. She said, oh, I would recognize that square jawline anywhere. So, of course, I started trying to somehow get my jawline squared. And just
start sticking your chin out.
That's what I was trying to do, man. It just didn't work.
Well, we could do the dance-off, actually, at Redneck Riviera. John Rich is playing.
Is he? Okay. Well, yeah. I know that. But see, it's no fun if there's not some danger to it. Like, if we go to, like, one of the downtown... You know, who's like Garth Brooks.
Now, there you go.
Oh, my gosh.
Now, if you want danger, there you go.
If we want to do danger, we need to go to whatever place Garth Brooks in Friends in Low Places. We got to go to Friends in Low Places and have as many people as we can muster, get in the middle of the floor, and just do the Trump.
Or if you really want danger, we'll go to some bar in East Nashville.
That we won't do.
Yeah.
That we won't do. All right. Are we done?
I think so. We will be if we try this in East Nashville.
Let's see here. Yeah, people are
giving us ideas, are they?
Yeah, 94.55. Wow, 3 dudes in Daisy Dukes.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Just so we're clear, I was kidding about the Daisy Dukes.
No, see, Brother Dan?
I was kidding about the Daisy Dukes.
Now we're stuck with. Now everybody's going to think we wear Daisy Dukes.
Yes, and I don't wear shorts.
I don't know what you do in private, Ken. For all I know, you break out the Daisy Dukes on like date night. You know, that kind of thing. Short shorts.
Oh God! Stop the mental picture. I love Brother Ken. I love all three.
What if Ken identifies?
Dance around like Buffalo Bill in Silence of the Lambs.
All right, we gotta
put it in the basket. Put it in the basket.
All right. I gotta do a commercial.
To Casey and the Sunshine Band.
All right.
Oh, put it in the basket.
So anyway, I just think it'd be fun to show up at Garth Brooks and all of us, flash mob doing the Trump in the middle of the dance floor at Garth Brooks. And do you think people would show up and do that? Like, in all honesty, you think people would do that?
And we'll play the song by Tim Wilson called Garth Brooks Has Ruined My Life.
There you go. We could do that too.
Great song, yeah.
So it depends on what time we do this, Brother Dan. I would prefer it be like 3:30 in the afternoon. Because I got to go to bed at 6.
You know, I think we do. I think like all the staff. I'm sure Brian would do it.
Oh, Brian would be.
And
well, you know Brian well.
Oh, sure. Show up at Garth. Can you imagine? Hey, Brian, this is our plan. We're going to show up at Garth Brooks and we're going to dance like Donald Trump in the middle of the dance floor. You in?
Have fun, Mandis.
I think that's what.
Don't ever say that to me again.
That'll go over so well, just like all of us taking a ride in a hot tub around Nashville.
Yeah.
Dan, if the phone doesn't ring, it's me.
Do you know who would be all in on this?
Murphy.
Matt Murphy.
Yeah, right on it.
He would be like, I should just hand this idea off to Murphy and let him run with it, because he has a big Twitter following, I think, an X following, I think.
Right.
And Chris Hand would be in.
Oh, definitely.
Because Chris Hand and I, like, every day we're doing the Trump.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Doing the Trump.
Do the Trump now.
I do. I want somebody to do the Trump, to do the hustle.
Yeah. Be good.
I think that'd be great.
That would be great.
We are way.
Yes, we are, and you need to.
My Patriot Supply.
Good man.
All right, listen, we've got unpredictable election coming up. We've got China, Russia, North Korea, predictably unpredictable, and who knows what's going to happen after November. Here's the deal. No matter what happens, you need to be ready for any emergency that might come your way. You need emergency food from my friends at My Patriot Supply at preparewithmandis.com. Now, right now, they've got a great deal going on for listeners to my show. Their mega 3-month emergency food kit comes with 33 varieties of delicious and filling foods. And right now, here's that great deal. You go to preparewithmandis.com. You save $300 on your mega 3-month emergency food kit. That's $300. It's a big savings. It's no limit either. It's going to ship fast. It's going to ship free. Be prepared with emergency food at preparewithmandis.com and get that $300 off your mega 3-month emergency food kit. Stock up right now. You've got 9 different fruits, vegetables, and snacks, plus all those meals. Check it out at preparewithmandis.com. Save that $300 on your mega 3-month emergency food kit. Preparewithmandis.com. Protect your family and be ready for anything with My Patriot Supply. Preparewithmandis.com. 829, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Xfinity. Listen, it'd be pretty cool if you could get your favorite streaming apps and internet together, right? Well, Xfinity lets you do just that. When you add Xfinity Stream Saver to your internet, you get Apple TV Plus, Netflix, and Peacock, all for just one low price. And now through September 22nd, get 150 megabit Xfinity internet for $30 a month for 12 months with a 1-year contract, and Wi-Fi equipment is included. Plus, add the Stream Saver for just $15 a month. A great deal. Now, that's a whole lot of entertainment for your money, all on the network built for streaming. Visit Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Xfinity, bring on the good stuff. Restrictions apply, requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra after promo, regular rates apply, actual speeds vary. Stream Saver requires Xfinity Internet or TV, and price subject to change.
$8:30 on the dot this Monday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes, and the Pentagon ordering a nuclear-powered submarine and an aircraft carrier equipped with F-35C fighter jets to the Middle East. Tom Sufi-Burridge says the bold move is due to increasing tensions between Iran and Israel.
Iranian officials this weekend doubling down on their threat to retaliate against Israel after 2 key assassinations in Tehran and Beirut. President Biden still pressing for peace. A major U.S. push to renew ceasefire talks now in jeopardy.
Without explanation, the Bureau of Prisons has moved 48-year-old Derek Chauvin to the Federal Transfer Center in Oklahoma City from the prison he was at in Arizona. The Bureau describes it as a facility for inmates with medical problems or a history of violence. Chauvin's lawyer says anything is better than the place where his client was before, serving time for the death of George Floyd. Chauvin survived being stabbed 22 times by a fellow inmate last year in the previous facility. Right now in Middle Tennessee, one person being questioned after a teenager was shot during an exchange of gunfire at the residences of Gallatin apartment complex in Gallatin overnight. The teenager died. Witnesses say it happened as thieves were breaking into people's cars. Home explosion in Smyrna. Fire investigators working to determine what caused it on St. Michael's Drive around 4:35 yesterday afternoon. A man is in the hospital with what are said to be severe burns. Market Numbers Report. Market Numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management. Online at beaconcm.com. We're a couple of minutes into the brand new trading week, and here we go. The Dow is up 43. S&P up 13. NASDAQ up 50. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Thank you, Ken. 8:33, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Mark Spain Real Estate is the #1 most reviewed real estate company in America. They've got over 11,000 five-star reviews. They're going to sell your home fast and for maximum profit. Now, this is hassle-free selling, as I've been saying for years, with the guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. They've been helping homeowners sell their homes for nearly 30 years. As a matter of fact, Mark Spain Real Estate, they've helped over 58,000 families sell their homes. This is a company you can turn to for hassle-free selling of your home. And you can also decide when you want to move. You can move when you want to move. So call them today at 855-299-SOLD. Mark Spain Real Estate. As always, tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. 855-299-SOLD. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer on your home today. That's markspain.com and start packing. So I just think that you could take the song, do the hustle, and make it do the Trump. And it would be like awesome because then you could do the video of Donald Trump doing the Trump. But then you know what else you could do is you could go around Nashville and ask Nashvillians as they're, stumbling around Broadway to do the Trump.
Well, we could probably get Trump hit with another lawsuit if we do that, right?
Sure, why not?
Did you hear that Isaac Hayes' family is demanding Trump stop using his songs at rallies?
No.
Yeah, the family of Isaac Hayes is threatening to sue him over his use of the track "Hold On, I'm Coming" at rallies.
So, I'm just going to be honest. I don't know what song that is.
Oh, it's a great classic song.
Sing it a little bit, Johnny.
Hold on, I'm coming. Hold on.
I got nothing. I've never heard that song.
That's a classic.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a great song.
I like JB's version.
Thank you, brother.
I like JB's version, too. It's a lot better than the original, which I haven't heard. Anyway, time for the Gang of Four Amigos.
My favorite critic, right there.
Chris is here. Johnny, Ken, hello, everyone.
Hello. Good morning, boys.
So would you show up if we flash mobbed in downtown Nashville, if we wanted to flash mob at like Garth Brooks' place? Just take over the dance floor and all of us do the Trump hustle?
Probably.
You would do that?
I'd probably come.
Would you?
Yeah.
Would you wear your Trump shirt? I think that'd be fun.
Yes, I'd wear my Trump shirt, wear my MAGA hats.
Okay.
I'd bring extras for the crew.
Garth, we're coming.
You're
not going to know when.
You're not on loudspeakers. Hold on, we're coming.
You know what, Garth? When you least expect it, expect it. There you go.
Talk about your friends in low places, Garth.
That's exactly right. Here come the Deplorables. We could start a new band called the Deplorables.
That actually would be dope.
How is there not a band called the Deplorables?
We should do, it'd be a cover band for all the songs that Trump gets sued for using at rallies.
Oh, I think that'd be great.
Yeah. It's the Deplorables.
There may be a band named the Deplorables.
Well, you know who else got mad? Celine Dion.
Yes.
Did you hear what happened at the Trump?
No.
The Trump thing? So over the weekend, here's what they think. That somebody hacked into Trump's system somehow and played the theme to the Titanic by Celine Dion. And people are like, oh, somebody hacked in because that's supposed to be a metaphor for his campaign, the Titanic. No, I thought, I have no idea. I just like the song.
Oh, the Trump campaign's imploding.
Yeah, no, I think
it's going to hit an iceberg.
Iceberg Kamala.
Celine Dion's mad about that?
Yeah.
Doesn't she have like enough going on?
Yes.
You would think.
Isn't she Canadian?
Yes, she is.
Yeah, she got that whole stiff body thing going on.
Yeah.
It's like, you've got real problems, Celine.
Yeah, don't worry about this.
Dion.
And no lips.
What'd you say?
And no lips.
Yeah, her and that lady at CNN. Very similar.
What lady?
The one with no lips.
No lip lady on CNN?
Is it Burnett?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes, Aaron Burnett.
Aaron Burnett. She's got no lips.
Doggone it.
Or Caitlin Collins. It's Aaron Burnett or Caitlin Collins.
I think it's Caitlin Collins.
It's not Caitlin Collins.
It's not Colin? Okay.
No, it's not Caitlin Collins.
It flew by you, Brother Dan.
Aaron Burnett.
No, it's not Aaron Burnett. She's got lips.
Yeah, she's got lips.
Well, it's not Caitlin Collins because she has.
No, it's Caitlin Collins. She's got no top lip.
What do you do? Oh, God's sakes. Why we need to start planning this better.
Well, what do you want me to do?
I mean, this
Hey,
is on the
fellas,
fly.
tomorrow let's talk about no lips. Tomorrow we're going to bring up no lip anchors.
Hey, Chris, you got anything for this? No, not yet.
Oh, Caitlin Collins. Yeah, okay, you're right.
No lip.
And she
You're right.
spells her name with an A at the end.
Yeah.
Talk about weird. Kate Lan. When did that happen? Did we switch timelines somewhere?
I've been calling her Caitlin with a D for years.
Kate Land?
I've been calling her Caitlin. I'm a professional, you know.
She's an amusement park, baby.
Anyway, whatever. All right, moving right along. So, Chris, what do you have for this? Because clearly, anything I've been saying today is like a road to nowhere. So we're just going to move right along.
What do you guys want to do? Do you want to do the Ohio State, the Ohio boneless wing Supreme Court decision, or do you want to do the Secret Service potty break?
Well, we got plenty of time. Let's do both.
All right. Well, the Secret Service has been forced to apologize because agents broke into a Massachusetts salon to let people use a bathroom during a Kamala Harris fundraiser.
And they sprayed the security camera.
I don't know if they sprayed it. Yeah, they put tape over the lens, and then you see them all inside the salon, and they forgot all the cameras in there.
Here's what I don't... Wow. That's our Secret Service, baby. Suddenly what happened in Butler isn't a mystery.
You see a picture of this lady looking at the camera, too?
Here's what I don't get. So,
what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah. So when you put the tape on, she does realize that it doesn't erase all the stuff before that, right?
The tape is not retroactive.
Yeah. It's like they probably, take it to court. There's a picture of her with the tape just going right up to the camera. Gosh. Now, and they've actually apologized. Is there any doubt that this is actually the Secret Service?
No, there's no doubt. The Secret Service has apologized.
So this is a real story.
It's a real story. Alicia Powers, the owner of the salon, recounted how Secret Service agents entered her building without prior notice by picking the lock to the front door and taping over the security cameras. The agents let the public use the bathroom for nearly 2 hours and left the premises unlocked after they were done.
Man.
What were they? So...
They had to go tinkle.
No, I get you have to go tinkle. When you got to go, you got to go.
It was tinkle time.
But... Still, I'd be a little angry if I was the salon owner, and she must be.
I would be angry as well, and she is, and so she's blasting them and posting the photos on the internet.
That's funny. All right, and this is Kamala's people?
Yep.
Kamala's Secret Service?
Well, they're all Biden's Secret Service right now.
Well, yeah, you're right. Well, I mean, Trump has some Secret Service too, so.
Yeah, but they all answer to the regime.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, as we have found out.
Yep.
So, all right, very good. Well, I guess when you got to go, you got to go. I didn't realize that the Secret Service job was to provide,
facilities.
Tinkle facilities for Kamala supporters.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
They would never break into a salon for Trump supporters, though.
No, they tell them to hold it.
They won't even attempt a sloped roof for Trump.
No, they wouldn't. They'd be the Secret Service would be like, "Oh, you got to pee? That's okay. Just do the Trump potty dance."
Hold on.
Either that or make them do it in public and then arrest them and let them know they were Trump supporters.
Yeah, it's like, listen, they get away with this in San Francisco. Why not wherever this was?
Yeah,
so anyway, where was this anyway?
This was in Massachusetts.
Oh, well, it smells like pee anyway.
Yeah.
Moving on.
All right, so then there's another story. The Ohio Supreme Court has decided that chicken wings that are advertised as boneless can have bones. I don't know. This is why people hate the government, right? It's like we're wasting time on stuff like this.
Taking care of the pressing issues of the day.
So who was at the Supreme Court?
The Ohio Supreme Court.
Ohio Supreme Court said that boneless chicken advertised can actually have bones.
Yeah, so it started with this guy, Michael Berkheimer. He was out with his wife at a wing joint in Hamilton, Ohio, and he got boneless wings. He always gets them, and he felt a bite-sized piece of meat go down the wrong way. 3 days later, feverish and unable to keep food down, he went to the emergency room where he discovered a long, thin bone had torn his esophagus and caused an infection. So he sued the restaurant and said the restaurant failed to warn him that so-called boneless wings could have bones. And in a 4-3 ruling, the Supreme Court said last Thursday that boneless wings refer to a cooking style and that he should have been on guard against bones.
With boneless chicken?
Yeah. It's a cooking style.
That's insanity.
They wasted time on this.
Sounds like they did.
Boy, I'm going to be careful next time I eat chicken.
Well, especially in Ohio.
Can anybody name the actress that choked on a chicken bone?
Can't do it.
That's Mama Cass.
Nope.
Besides Mama Cass?
No, she didn't. She didn't. That's a.
Is that an old wives' tale?
Yeah, and the old wives' tale was a ham sandwich.
Oh, it was a ham sandwich.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
George Bush choked on a hot dog one time, right?
This is a pretzel.
It was a pretzel? I thought it was a hot dog.
I'm pretty sure he choked on a pretzel.
It'd be funnier if it was a hot dog.
It would be, actually. Elizabeth Taylor, by the way. Elizabeth Taylor choked on a chicken bone.
Goodness.
At a Virginia restaurant. She's okay. Now we got to fact check ourselves.
Well, I don't know if she's okay. She's okay. She's taking a dirt nap as we talk.
Well, yeah, but they were able to dislodge the chicken bone only for her to die later.
Right.
A lot later.
Unrelated.
Okay. Unrelated. Yeah, George Bush. Okay, hold on. So Who thinks I'm right versus Chris? Chris says hot dog. I say pretzel. What did George Bush choke on?
Pretzel.
I mean, yeah, you're probably right.
Ken?
I say pretzel.
All right. We're all three believe that you're wrong, Chris.
Okay. I also agreed that I was probably wrong.
Okay, good. You know what? As long as you admit it, man, that's all good. All right, very good.
Still would have been funnier if it was a hot dog.
So what was it, Brother Dan?
It's pretzel.
It's a pretzel.
Oh, it was a pretzel.
Yeah.
So I was right.
Ken's listening on like a 20-second delay.
Sorry, I was doing the news.
He's listening like Amy.
You know, I always suspected that she didn't listen live. We did a thing in the 5:35. It's utter disaster.
You're gonna text about this at 9:15.
Yeah, I will. and Amy sends me a text.
What was it that you said, Dan?
I don't want to talk about what I said.
Okay.
Because it truly, gentlemen, is it one of those you had to be there? Because you know how things just like spiral out of control?
Yes.
Like one thing leads to another, leads to another. It was one of those
Yeah,
things.
you probably had to be there for that one.
But basically, she texted me and she said, sharecropping.
Well, it kind of started this way, Chris.
That's right. That's what it was. I forgot how we started the whole thing. Oh, that's how. You know what? All the laughter we've had this morning, my stomach troubles have gone away.
Very good. Mine are still here.
Johnny and I were talking about now ever since, you got that? Hey, Johnny, got that queued up? Ever since this started running, Johnny and I have had perpetual tummy trouble.
That's the same thing you can hear the Secret Service say when they're walking behind Biden.
That's
Do you
exactly
hear that?
right.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
it's like walking behind
Normandy.
It's like walking behind a horse in a parade.
Crop dusting, boys.
In fact, that was Jill Biden saying, "Oh no."
That's America saying, "Oh no."
I saw a thing the other day. It said the Biden-Harris regime crapped their pants and changed their shirt. That's what the Democrats have done in replacing Biden with Harris.
Oh, I get it. Crap their pants and change their shirt.
Accurate.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. Anyway, so my tummy is feeling a lot better now.
That's
but
good.
I think it's just the last couple of days. And I akin it to just the power of suggestion with this commercial. Timing is everything, Johnny.
I love her. Oh no. Her oh no makes that.
I do
thing.
too.
Yeah, she's in the grocery checkout line.
Now here's the other thing. The other thing is this commercial runs like 8 times in the 5 o'clock hour.
Yes.
Grabbing all those 18 to 34-year-olds.
I'll tell you what, man.
In fact, it was so funny because it was right after Ken just gets done with the news this morning. And right when he gets done, this was what you hear.
Yep. Yeah. And it wasn't me.
It's bad.
It's bad, exactly. It's bad, boys.
It's bad.
So a couple hours after the bit, Amy sends me the text admonishing me for what I said in the 5:35. Yeah. I'd completely forgotten about the whole thing. And so now I know that I'm going to hear about it when I get home. And you know what I'm going to hear when I get home?
Sharecropper.
Besides that, she's gonna say, "What were you thinking?" I always hear that from her when I get home. What were you thinking?
What were you thinking?
And in fairness to me, I didn't know that we're going to go down that road, so I had the wrong term. I confused sharecropper with crop dusting. You know what crop dusting is, right?
I've heard.
Okay.
Familiar.
So you know how this goes? So throughout like a little 2-minute period during that segment, I'm saying sharecrop. I then go to the super text line. There's like 100 people that are like, crop dust, man, it's crop dusting, not sharecropping. That was great. What's wrong with me?
Oh, that was great, man.
So, what's coming up next?
Well, on the Chris Ann Show today, we're going to cover the rallies. We're going to talk about everybody being black-pilled, talk about the Trump campaign is imploding. I don't believe it, and I think we're going to see a turn of attitude come September 10th. But we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what's happening in England and more.
I don't think Trump is imploding. I think you know what I feel like with Trump? I feel like he's lying in wait. September 10th. I think that once she starts giving interviews and once Trump does his thing on September 10th, He's got to know how to handle Kamala. He's got to know how to handle I'm speaking. That's what he needs to handle.
And in the meantime, they're dodging interviews like they dodged deployments on the Harris Waltz ticket.
Well, don't forget how he handled Hillary. I mean, he saved everything for that debate, and he nailed it.
Remember when he was stalking her on the stage? Like, there's that famous picture of him looming behind her. I love that.
Well, I also love the whenever he basically laid out to her that her husband had plenty of dalliances with ladies.
Was that he brought them.
He brought them. That was so awesome. And then they did it, and then right when he did it, they showed Bill, and Bill was PO'd, man. I've never seen a look like that. Oh, he wanted to.
If only Monica Lewinsky could have been there, but she's a leftist, so she wouldn't show up, I'm sure.
But yeah, that's right. He brought all of them.
He brought, I forget their names.
Juanita Broderick.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then you have Paula
Jones.
Paula
I think
Jones
was there, yes.
It's exactly.
Or if Sweet Connie was there.
Connie?
Yeah, she's, the ones that's mentioned in the Grand Funk Railroad song.
Oh.
We're an American band.
Yeah.
Bill had a tryst with her, too.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
All right, very good.
Had a very, like a very swanky political soiree. Drug her into a different room.
Oh, jeez.
What a great guy.
Wow.
What a stand-up American right there. HelpABrotherOut.com. Get Hillary in. Come on. Help me out.
Nobody wanted Hillary to be Secretary of State more than Bill. Let's just put it that way.
Exactly.
Gotta go. 8:54 Nashville's Morning News. Chris Hand is up next. Dan Mandis here. I use Zero Res to clean my carpets, and you should too. Now, I've got dogs and kids, a big backyard full of dirt that gets tracked in all the time, so it feels like I'm calling Zero Res every few months. They do clean with powered water. No harsh chemicals, no soap, and no residue. Just soft and fluffy carpets that are going to stay clean longer. Now, right now at Zero Res, they've got a great offer. 3 rooms of carpets cleaned for only $99. 20% off of air duct cleaning as well when you use promo code DUCT20. Now it's back to school time. Get back to clean carpets with Zero Res. They've got thousands of Google and Facebook reviews. And of course, my review, Zero Res, gets 2 thumbs up. Now don't forget that great deal. 3 rooms of carpets cleaned for only $99 and 20% off of air duct cleaning when you use promo code DUCT20. Tell them Dan told you to reach out. Restrictions may apply. Call them 615-535-9376. 615-535-9376. Book online, ZeroResNashville.com. ZeroResNashville.com.